Morning. How are you all? Sleepy? Yeah, no, me too. I was up till 3 in the morning cutting stretchy bands. It's true. No, I was like, I swear to you, it was about 2:30 or 3 in the morning. It was after I did this All Star, and I'm cutting, and they're like, some of them are jagging, and I'm like, I don't care, and somebody's gonna complain, and I don't care. Right, exactly. Right, right. Anyways, all right. So I'm hoping today, right, to confuse the hell out of you. No, I'm hoping to clear up some of the confusion of connection, right? There's this mythological thing that we all work on. So some of the drills and exercises will be things that some of you have taken before. Some of them will be brand new. But there tends to be really two school of thoughts when it comes to connection. And then there seems to be like sub schools of thoughts to those two. So one of them is constant connection. How many of you heard constant connection? Right. So one of them is constant connection. The problem with the words constant connection is it tends to translate to constant tension. So, but connection does not mean tension, right? The two words are not the same, right? Yes, because both can happen, right? So, however you're creating your tension. So if you create a tension, I'm going to talk a lot about numbers today. So if you create a tension level of 7, right, in your stretch from momentum, from movement, or you create a tension level of 7 with your arm, you're creating a tension level 7. Now, one's going to be good and one's going to be bad. In the reference that I'm using right now is that when you create 7, I don't want you maintaining 7 throughout the entirety of the pattern, however you've created it. Does that make sense? Cool. So that we tend to think of constant connection as meaning a constant 7, constant tension. Constant connection does not mean constant tension. Then we have this thing. So that tends to get people to be too strong and too heavy and all that kind of stuff. So then we have a school of thought to go, oh, well, that's not great. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like connection, then neutral, then connection, then neutral. So like there's lots of people that will teach a side pass or an underarm turn in a class where they'll say lead and then let go and then reconnect and then let go and then reconnect. I say just let go and pick another dance. Because if you're not touching each other and connected to each other, why are we doing this? So that whole like neutral part in the middle is bad, right? I'd actually rather have a constant 7 than I would have you leave me. Yeah, I would rather know where you are at all times, even if it's overly heavy, than have you go away from me in connection, right? So I say this thing all the time. I have this analogy about a certain bug. Anybody remember what it is? Yeah, a spider. What does a spider have to do? Yeah, a spider got to eat. I always say a spider got to eat. So what does that mean? Right, I have a T-shirt. Some of you have a T-shirt that says spider gotta, G-O-T-T-A, spider gotta eat. So spiders create webs. Yeah, you can sit for a minute. It's fine. We have 3, or not. We have 3 hours. So you will dance, I promise you. You're going to dance a lot more in this class than you did in any other class I've done this weekend. So the idea behind a spider web is so there's this little tiny spider in the Amazon, and it builds these big giant webs. It's actually the biggest web from the smallest spider in existence. And I forget the name of the spider, but I was watching a documentary with my son on Discovery. And huge giant, so the spider's over here, big giant web, and a bug lands over here. How does the spider know? Vibration. Vibration carries through the web. Spider gets to eat, right? If the web is too taut, the web's too tight, right? If the entire web is too taut, weather, wind, rain, whatever, weather, or the bug as it hits it will break the web because it's too taut. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So spider doesn't get to eat because the web will break. If the web is too loose, what doesn't happen? Vibration doesn't carry. So it might catch the bug, but the spider doesn't know because vibration doesn't carry through the web. Webs, spider webs, are this incredibly cool system of certain strands having more tension than others. It's a system of tonal energy. It has tonal energy within the system, right, that's pliable. It's a pliable tonal energy that can communicate vibration. So no matter where the spider is on the web, when something lands on it, it not only knows that something has landed, but it knows where. You with me on this? Connection in West Coast Swing needs to be like that spider web. There needs to be some good tonal energy in there, some strength, right? But not too much, so that anything that the follower or the leader does communicates through the system right? So everything you do through the system should be communicated. I want to know, as a leader, every single step you take. I want to know what side of your body's moving. I want to know if it's your shoulder, if it's your rib, if it's your hip, if it's your knee. I want to know all of it. That doesn't mean I'm going to do anything with it. It's just information. But the more information I have, the better choices I can make. Does that make sense? Now, we teach follows all the time, do whatever you want, but don't affect the man's hand. Have any of you heard that? Great. Now forget it. Because it's probably one of the most damaging things that can happen to a follow is to try to do that. If you shut down your ability to tell me what you're doing, I won't know what to do with you. Follows say to me all the time, leaders lead me too early. I'm doing a syncopation. I do syncopation. They always pull me out of my syncopations, blah, blah, blah. Right, because I don't know where you are. If I don't know where you are, I'm going to lead you when I'm ready, which might not be when you're ready. And we know men are always ready faster than women. So, like, whatever. It's a joke. Deal with it. So, I'm going to lead you when I'm ready. But if you're talking to me and you can tell me when you're ready, I'll lead you when you're ready. If I get that information. Now, what the sentence really should be is, ladies, you can do whatever you want, but you shouldn't negatively affect the man's hand. Negatively affect the man's hand, which would be pulling or pushing or fighting him on some level, or twisting the hand for no apparent reason. If there's just this extraneous movement in the connection, that's bad. That's now negatively. That's not a positive information to what you're doing. That's some sort of white noise that's occurring that has nothing to do with your movement. So everything I feel in the hand should be related to what you're doing in your body. You with me on this? Great. So we're looking for communication through the connection at all times. Now, the interesting thing, if you were to draw a spider web, you wouldn't just draw straight lines. You'd probably draw straight lines, and then there'd be some curved lines in the middle, right? Because even though it's a system of connective, right? It's a system of this connection that's going on of stronger and lighter moments. Does that make sense? Which keeps it pliable. We have to kind of try to create that with our body. We have to try to create that same feeling with our body. So we're not overly tense and we're not overly loose. Yes, yes, yes? Does everybody get this? Cool. All right. So, and by the way, when you talk to people that teach constant connection, and you talk to people that teach connection neutral, I should say when I talk to them about why they do what they do and what we're looking for, they all agree at that middle ground that I'm talking about, that it's really constant connection with varied amounts of tension, that the tension varies. And they'll say, well, I do the lead and let go and the reconnect and let go, because when they don't let go anymore, they won't go to zero. They're going to do what you do. No, they're going to do what you've told them to try to do. You're all very good students, and if a teacher tells you to go to neutral, by God, you will do everything in your power to go to neutral, won't you? Won't you? Right? So there's a belief from the Arthur Murray system, right, where they teach through association. They also teach through assumption. And the assumption is that I can get you to do something, I can get you to move a certain way, and your body will self-correct its place. It'll self-correct to where I want you to be. That actually is very rare that happens, because most students, when they take lessons and they pay money, they try to fight. How many times do you feel like you're being asked to do something that's completely not natural? Lots, right? Cool. And so I'm asking you something that's completely not natural, but you're going to keep trying to do it. You're not going to all of a sudden try to do that thing that's not natural, and then your body's going to go ahead and make it natural. No, you'll practice it to where that thing that was unnatural is now natural. Yeah? So I believe in giving you the whole truth, not the half-truth. The half-truth is connect and then go neutral. Connect and then go neutral. Because when you're actually dancing, you won't really go to neutral. Yes, you will. I dance with a lot of you, right? So you'll go to neutral. It happens for leaders and followers all the time. So, but if I can talk to you and teach you the whole truth, which is that we have a constant sense of connection, but with really extreme varied amounts of tension, just never going to zero. If 10's my heaviest, right? If 10 is really, really strong and combative, well, I don't want to be combative, so I maybe don't go to 10, right? But I also don't go to 0, where I'm not communicating at all. Yeah, there's a middle ground in there. Yes, yes, yes. And there's lots of techniques, which we'll talk about today, that get us to understand what that feels like. Okay. So, did you guys come in here? Did any of you come in here with any concerns, questions, clarity you were looking for? You're getting something other than what I just said. You're getting mixed signals. Like you take a private lesson from one teacher, they say this, and another teacher says this. So, that's a great one. So we'll talk about that. I didn't have that on my agenda, but we can do that. How to vary the connection relative to the tempo that you're dancing. All right, I'll definitely do that one. Anything else? I got one. All right, well, at least I still got one. I always joke that I've never had an intensive without one question or one comment. All right, so no concerns, no confusion. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Is that a word? Don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared. I sound like I'm talking to my daughter. Right. We'll definitely talk about that. We'll cover that, like how to. It's our instinct, by the way. Our instinct is to use our muscles. Put your hands out like this, right? So everybody contract your muscles in. That's very easy to do. It's instinctual. Do it again. Boom. So our muscles are built to contract. We are built to contract. You with me on this? So, do you guys know who Gene Kelly is? Anybody not know who Gene Kelly is? I've recently had people who not know who Gene Kelly is. No, it's true. In a group class, you don't know who Gene Kelly is. That's all. That's fine. So Gene Kelly was a very famous dancer in musicals. Do you know who Fred Astaire was? Fred Astaire? Yeah. See, this is happening more and more and more. So we're losing them. So Fred Astaire was a very famous dancer. Gene Kelly was a very famous dancer. Gene Kelly's probably most famous movie was a movie called Singin' in the Rain, and he was a tap dancer, but he was one of the greatest dancers in the world. For many years and lots of old musicals. And you should go check out Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, all those things. Anyways, Gene Kelly, in his autobiography, said there's no such thing as a natural dancer. There's no such thing as a natural dancer because our bodies are built to contract. And in order to become a great dancer, we must learn to expand. Now, so put your arms like this and expand your arms out. That's actually harder to do. You have to really tell your body to do that. Contract in. Your body knows what to do with that. That's easy, right? Do you feel the difference? And when you get nervous, when you get scared, when you get confused, right? What do? You don't get scared and go, oh my God, I'm so scared. That doesn't happen. I'm terrified, right? That's not what happens. You go, right? This is what happens. Does that make sense? So, but lots of times the illusion of the dance is contraction. The illusion of the dance is contraction, right? So, because dances that can look low, so like Gene Kelly would say that in tapping, you don't contract down and go, because that's heavy into the floor and hard to do. He would actually create, like, I love this analogy. He said your rib cage and everything is more like an umbrella. So that umbrella opens. Umbrella opens. And then, like, my feet are faster and the sound, it's just easier to do that than. That's harder to do because I'm heavy into it. But we would think of tap as this down dance. Does that make sense? But there's something about creating that space in your body to then be able to move. Yeah. But we tend to, in West Coast Swing, do this. Lots of this in West Coast Swing. Lots of inward contraction in West Coast Swing instead of outward energy in West Coast Swing. I said to Michelle Kincaid today, we were talking, and I said, I think one of the biggest problems is we've lost the usage of space. We're getting rid of space in the dance. But lots of the content that we dance today requires space. And space is going to help with connection a lot. And we'll do exercises for that in a few minutes, right? So I will talk about that because what happens is you get into a panic mode, not you personally, anybody, leader or follower, when you don't feel the person. And when we're insecure or unsure, we do this. So now we start to use our arms, we start to use our muscles, right, to try to find something. And it's hard to do. We have to teach ourselves to use space, to get away from each other, not come at each other. Yeah. Sure. Right, for the record, put your arms like this. Right? So I want you to think about pulling in. Everything pull in. Great. Without moving your arms, I want you to think about opening up. Can you feel that? So even within just this, even if all I do is this, I'm expanding my body, contract your body, boom, expand it, without letting your arms move. Contract it, expand it. Now go ahead and let your arms move. Well, that's different, right? But if I'm in a crowded space, I don't get to do this. That doesn't mean I won't do this. Just because we're in a crowded space doesn't mean I'm going to do this. You with me on that? Cool? Because I can dance here and I can dance there. Jessica Cox, if you know who she is, dances a very short arm. So you would think that Jessica's very in and pulled. She has a very short arm, but everything's very expanded in what she does, even within the short arm. So she doesn't do this. She's doing this, even within a short arm. Yeah, yeah. So hold on. You had a question, then you have a question. Go ahead. Right. Yeah. Right. How about it's all of it? How about it's all of it, right? So you know what else? It's also your outer pec. It's the outer pectoral muscle, right? So it's the outer pec muscle. So the question was, I've heard that when you connect from your arms, it comes from your lats. And then I've heard, no, it comes from your low back. Some teachers will say it comes from your core muscle, that one core muscle. So stupid. So like, sorry. I always want to walk up to those teachers, like in the group class, walk up and go, wait, hold on, hold on. And then walk off, right? So we're actually not trying to isolate any one muscle group. I don't want you to isolate one muscle group. There's lots of muscles that help to control your connection. Are your lats one of them? Sure. And your deltoids and your traps, right? And your pectoral muscle and the proximal tendon of your bicep. All of those things have to do with how you connect. And we talk about engaging our lats. So everybody says you want to drive your lats, pinch your lats together, drive your lats down. Everybody do that. Does this even remotely feel comfortable? This is exactly how we should dance, right? No. Exactly. As you sit, put your arms in front of you like this. And put your shoulders up, back, down. Drive your lats down and pinch them together. Now lift your arms up. Go into any dance studio in New York and go, I am a dancer, right? That will not happen, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to expand our lats. Anybody here ever see a bodybuilder? When a bodybuilder wants to show his lats or her lats, do they go like this? No, they open. What's another word for lats? What do people call them? Wings. Right. They call your lats your wings. So I want you to spread your wings. I don't want you to contract them. Does that make sense? So I'm going to spread my wings. That's where my connection is going to come from, not from contracting my wings. You with me on this? Cool. So even when they do say lats, which is right, that is a muscle group that I use. It's not the only muscle group that I use, but it is a muscle group that I use for connection. Even then, they tend to tell you wrong how to apply them, right? So I want to expand. That's where I want to live, not here. I don't want to do this. And by the way, up, do it, back, down, right? When you put your arms in front of you, your elbows want to stay bent, don't they? Stretching out your elbows when your lats are pinched is actually hard to do, isn't it? Because once I pinch my lats and the rhomboids and the deltoids and everything else, I'm also messing with my proximal tendon for my bicep and everything else, and my arms don't want to move either. When I expand my lats, I also free up my ability to expand my arms. Can you feel that? When you expand your lats, you free up your ability to expand your arms. When you pinch your lats, you actually lose some of the mobility in your arms. Can you feel that? You should all be doing it as I do it. So all of a sudden, there's a negative tension in the arm that is unnecessary. Can you all feel that? No? Great, cool. And my whole thing is I want to use lots of muscles a little bit, not any one muscle a lot. The efficiency equation would be that the machine does the least amount of work for the most amount of output, right? That's the efficiency equation. So humans have a 35% efficiency for how we move, right? One of the reasons why it's not higher is because we're bipedal against gravity and everything else. So and that's why we have the 4 curves in our spine and everything else to combat the pressure down of gravity. We're not on all fours, we're up, right? It's actually a little bit more efficient to be on all fours. So by the way, a combustion engine, a gas combustion engine, also functions at 35% efficiency. So anything I do that negates that or starts to break that down, like this starts to break down my efficiency, right? So the idea would be like doing push-ups. I know, Claude, you have a question. Doing push-ups, right? So doing push-ups in here is an isolation of a certain muscle group. Going way out is an isolation of another muscle group. Going Superman push-ups is an isolation of another muscle group. If I want to do the most amount of push-ups, I'm right about here. Because the mass of my chest is over my hands, right? And I have lots of muscles doing a little bit of work, as opposed to any one muscle group doing all of the work. So I don't like to think in my connection that I have one muscle group doing all of the work, like my lats, or my low back, or one random core muscle, right? Yes, and then Claude. Go ahead. I like to use the word tone, like for me personally. Like, so I can't expand if I'm, everybody just relax your arms. Great. Now, without engaging any muscular system whatsoever, nothing, expand. Good luck with that, right? So expand. To expand, I have to start to engage muscles. Does that make sense? The difference in the muscle engagement when I do that is that it's not a contraction. Does that make sense? I'm trying to eliminate contractions as much as possible. You with me on that? Cool. Claude. Dr. Claude Fortin, who I love so much. How are you? I learned so much from Claude, and I use it in my intensives all the time. Claude's a neurologist and brilliant and has helped me so much. You have another translation for me. Great. Right? Rhomboids, right. So the rhomboids come together while the lats expand. Did y'all get that? From the doctor? Right. So it's true. Don't I use your stuff all the time? I do. So so we're thinking about like expanding our lats, which will contract our rhomboids. Right? Do you guys know where the rhomboid is? Right, exactly. Right. Cool. Yeah. Great. All right. So do you have a word? So I have this, there's this thing called waxy flexibility, right, that we talk about. So waxy flexibility for dancers is a good thing. In life is probably a bad thing. I don't know, right? So if you have waxy flexibility, you're not in a comatose state, but are you catatonic? What's the, right. So if somebody's catatonic, right, and they're laying there, and a doctor lifts their arm, and their arm stays there. Their arm stays there. That's called waxy flexibility. It's as if the arm has a wire and all the muscles are wax, and I bend it and it stays. But to do that, I don't have to flex anything, right? So lift your arm up. Imagine that there's a wire, right? So nothing's going on. This is all loose. Go like this. This is loose. Tense up your arm. Do you need to tense up your arm to hold it up? No, relax. Relax the arm. There we go. Does that make sense? So waxy flexibility is the idea that just moves. You with me on this? Waxy flexibility. It's as if I'm a wax figure and I'm made of wires and I just move the wire. Like the Barbie dolls, exactly. Or Gumby, damn it. I'm Gumby, damn it. Anybody remember that? Eddie Murphy? All right, so right, so waxy flexibility, right? So waxy flexibility, when I hold my arm up from here, that's kind of my start point. And then I increase or decrease energy as needed based on what's acting upon me. But that's where I start. I start from waxy flexibility. Yes? Cool? Pull your arm in like this. That's bad. Let your arm relax. That's bad. Hold it up. Move it around. Awesome. That's where we want to live. I want a relaxed arm that can maintenance its place in space. I want a relaxed arm that can maintain its place in space. You with me on that? This is not this is if I lift a follow's arm and I let go of it, it should stay where it is. It shouldn't then fall. I don't want the weight of I want to be able to move your arm. I want to be able to feel your arm, but I don't want the weight of your arm. Does that make sense? Which is actually so hard because ladies are told to relax their arms, and I'll talk about why that's so bad in a second. Yes, and then yes. The question is ballroom dancing or different styles of dancing a good way to build your structure from West Coast swing? I'm going to say yes. That's going to be my opinion. I will tell you this. 90% of what I teach in my life, I did not learn from a West Coast swing teacher. 90% of what I either learned it from ballroom teachers. So for most of you who don't know my background, I wanted to become a chiropractor. So I filled lots of prerequisites, went to chiropractic school, not for very long, right? So, but for only about a year and a half. So I wanted to be a chiropractor. And then when I switched from being a chiropractor, I thought, well, I don't want to be a chiropractor. I think I don't know what I want to do next. So I went to EMT school to be a I wanted to be an ambulance driver. And so then in doing that, I also took a physical therapy class. I took physical therapy classes, right? So then I was like, okay, well, I'll do some, and maybe I'll become a PT on the side. I didn't, but it was all about body mechanics and movement, right? So I also hold a black belt in 3 different martial arts and taught martial arts for many, many years and competed for many years in martial arts. So like there was lots of science behind all of that. And then when I was 32, I went back to college and I got my degree in dance. So, but I'm an ideokinesiologist. I'm a member of the International Association of Dance Medicine and Science, which is a fantastic organization. And I joined them in 2005. And that's an organization of physical therapists, personal trainers, osteopaths, chiropractors, dance professionals. And their whole premise is elongating a dancer's life. Does that make sense? So most of what I teach either comes from the scientific kind of IADMS type stuff in kinesiology kind of place in that chiropractic Feldenkrais. I've done Feldenkrais, I've done Alexander, that type of stuff as well. Or from ballroom dance teachers, and maybe about 10% of it from anything I learned from West Coast Swing teachers. So do I think that learning ballroom is a good thing for West Coast Swing? I do. It's helped my career, right? So, and I was never a ballroom competitor. I taught American Rhythm and American Smooth to the silver level for a while, but I was never a competitor. So ballroom was never my thing other than to make a living teaching it at a studio a little bit, but it helped my West Coast Swing a lot. Yes? Cool. And country dancing helped a ton. Lorene and I learned so much from dancing in country, like being a competitive country dancer. But every single top coach we had was a ballroom dancer who coached our country stuff. Yes, frame, waxy flexibility, all that stuff, right? Yeah. Actually, you're feeling it more in your deltoid than you're feeling it in the bicep. Your bicep shouldn't really be flexed. Are you feeling a little tone that's coming from the shoulder into the arm, and then it dissipates as it goes out? Yeah, you bet, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Cool. By the way, so everybody put your hand right here. No, on me. Come here. No, I'm kidding. All right, so like, all right, so feel that outer pectoral muscle, that outer pec, right? You can feel that kind of, so put pressure there, right? So kind of flex that just a little bit. I can flex that. Can you guys put pressure there? Can you push against it, right? From there, like move your arm. Move your arm. Great. From that push right there, roll your shoulder forward. You have to completely release that to do that, don't you? You have to completely release that muscle. Engage that in. Great. So lots of times people talk about their back. Expand the back, but don't engage this. Expand the back. So if I expand the back, but I don't engage that outer pec, right? Roll your shoulder forward. You can do it, can't you? I like to say that my lats, my rhomboids, my deltoids protect the back of my shoulder more. My pec, the outer pectoral muscle, and into my bicep protects the front of my shoulder. So that I can't, if this is engaged, do that again, push on it. If that's engaged, I can't roll my shoulder forward. Roll your shoulder forward. You have to lose that, don't you? Do you feel that? Cool. So I do this a lot with ladies and with leaders and followers who lose their arm. I literally have them push against it. And I have them lead as they're leading their basic and keep that, protect the front of the shoulder. Protect the front of the shoulder. The reason why teachers don't like to do that is when they talk about the front, they're afraid people are going to engage the bicep, which is why I become tactile and I make you put a hand there. Does that make sense? So do this. Great. Okay. Now, from here, as this happens, roll the shoulder forward. You have to let go of that, don't you? Do you all feel that? Great, cool. And by the way, I can expand my lats and then still let that collapse forward because nothing's protecting the front of it. Yeah. Can you all feel that? Yes? Kind of, sort of, maybe? So, by the way, this was a huge aha for PJ Turner. I remember when PJ was like, oh my God, I do that. So he's like, well, how do I strengthen these? Push-ups, right? So I told PJ, just get to your fingertips and do wide push-ups up against the wall for now. Like strengthen these outer pectoral muscles. Any thoughts on that? Just do flies, right? I mean, because I think he works out. So, come on. No, he's a personal trainer. That's why I brought that. Right. So, all right, great. So outer pecs, something that people very rarely talk about when it comes to connection, but super important when it comes to releasing a shoulder. Right. Understanding waxy flexibility. These are all things that I need you to understand before we stand up and get you moving. Right. I think more about an outward tonal energy than an inward energy. Right. So go in, go out. Think out. Nice. Cool. So I'm thinking more out in my energy, not in my energy. You with me on this? Cool. Great. Any other questions on anything we've done before I sip my coffee? Don't judge me. Too late, right? You've already judged me. All right. Then the other thing we're going to get into before you stand up, the other thing we're going to get into today is we're going to get into something called resisted release, right? Because I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you you're going to use your biceps. You're going to use your biceps, and you're going to use your forearm. It's going to happen, right? Because those stretchy bands I gave you, the yellow ones are the lighter ones. There's green ones and black ones. There's different colors, right? For different what? Different tension, right? There's a different tonal strength in the band. So if I had the black band or the green band, right, which are heavier than the yellow band, and I cut them to the same length, right? When you went to stretch them, one would take more energy than the other. Does that make sense? Even at the same length. So the band has its tensile strength built into the band. Does that make sense? And it doesn't get to alter it. The yellow band doesn't get to become the green band. Does that make sense? It can't make itself the green band. We have to be able to be the yellow band, the green band, the black band. We have to be able to do that relative to everybody we dance with. Relative to the person I'm dancing with, I need to be able to adjust my band. Does that make sense? So how am I going to do that? Sometimes with my bicep and my forearm. Sometimes the muscles in my arm are going to be the thing that increases the tonal strength or the tensile strength that's happening in my connection. Nod your heads. Did you get that? So it is okay. It's okay to use your biceps and your forearm. You just have to learn how. Does that make sense? It can't just be that instinctual pull and grab. We have to understand when we're engaging it, how we're engaging it, and making it purposeful. Yes? Great. Any questions? All right, great. Stand up. Thank you. Again, we're not using the bands yet, so. The reason why I did the bands is because I'm going to show you, once I show you these exercises for connection, I'm going to then show you how to practice them at home with the band. Because how many of you have been in a class where they've said, use a stretchy band at home? How many? But then they don't actually take you through exercises to be able to do it. So then you go home and you get the band. How many of you have a band tied to your door at home? Refrigerator or whatever. And be honest, how much is it stays tied to it? And you pass it all the time, right? Or you start to practice it, and you're like, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if this is helping or not, right? So some of you might be very diligent about it. I've been to many homes of dance students of mine that have that band tied, and I'm always like, so how much do you use it? And they go, well, right. And say no more. The second you don't say a lot, that you have to think about the lie or the excuse you're about to give me, tells me that you're not using it enough. Okay. Great. So one of the things I want us to think about is everybody go like this. Great. Lift your arms up. Come down. Great. Relax. Go. Now, when I relax my arms, relax your arms to your side. Relax your arms to your side. Great. So if I relax my arms to your side, there's a little bit of a bend in the elbow. Straighten your elbows. I actually have to engage muscles to make that happen. Does that make sense? Relax. So to relax your arms has a little bit of a break in the elbow, doesn't it? I have to flex like my triceps, do that, to straighten my arm. Do you feel that? Cool. So just relax here. Now from there, I want you to lift an arm up. From that exact same place, right? Now straighten that arm. You have to flex to do that, don't you? Go back to here, right? Bend that arm in with a fist. There's a flexation that happens. You with me on this? Cool. Come back out here. Let it rest. Come out. Great. So leaders, do me a favor, drop your right arm. Followers, drop your left. That's about as far away as you get in this dance, right? So if I have Lisa, if we're both like this, and we lift like this, and I let this drop, she lets that drop, and we come and take this, boom. There we go. That's how far away we dance in this dance. You with me on that? Not in here, not out there, not like this. Here, up, drop, connect. This is as far away as I will go for my basic. Now, if you watch me dance or the pros dance, will you see us sometimes overstretch? Yes, but that's because we have control of what we're doing. This is the default distance for us. You with me on this? So if I do a sugar push or anything else with Lisa as she moves away, that's going to be as far away as I go. Yeah? Say yes. Great, thanks so much. Now, take your arm, put it out in front of you. Take the other hand, put it on your wrist, right? Make that elbow come back until your hand gets to your stomach so your wrist hasn't passed your body. Great, cool. Cool. So we're right there. So I still have lots of engagement. I still have to be able to use all my muscles. If I go further than that, go further than that. You start to lose some of the control in your shoulder. Can you feel that? Cool. Now you'll hear people say all the time, don't let your elbows pass your body. How many of you have heard that? I don't care about your elbow. I don't care about your elbow passing your body. I'd rather your wrists don't pass your body. So depending on the length of your forearm, your elbow may or may not be past your body. Depending on the thickness of your body and the length of your arm, right? Your elbow may or may not be past your body. What I don't want is your hands going past your body. You with me on that? So you can do this. Time it just up to there. Okay, great. I'm not going to let my wrist. So now this is going to be the closest I let my hands come to my body. This is going to be the furthest I let my hands go away from my body. Does that make sense? We have a pliable frame in West Coast Swing. So come back to here. Boom, know where that is. Here, what do I call those? Somebody tell me what I call those. Points of no more. So that's the points of no more. That's the point at which I won't let the arm go anymore. So if this is being pulled and this is being pulled and this is being pulled, and I get to that point of what? No more, and the person were to continue to pull, what would I do? I would walk forward. I won't fight. If this is coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back, and I get to that point of no more, if they were to continue to push, what might I do? Back up, right? Cool. Or resist and push forward, but I'm not going to let it come at me anymore. Does that make sense? I'm not going to let somebody take my frame past my point of no more. You with me on that? This is just as it relates to this. Yeah? By the way, you can do the same thing here. Open up. So I also call it your point of bounce. So everybody just kind of like space out a little bit and kind of stagger so you have enough room to do this. We have to be able to get to second position. Right? So this is second arm position. From there, just kind of bounce a little bit. Bounce. Now notice when I'm bouncing, I'm bringing my chest into my frame. Bounce, 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 bounce. So the idea there is stretch into it, stretch into it. You feel like you're stretching the muscles, and the muscles can go ahead and rebound back. Do it again. Stretch into it, stretch into it, stretch into it, and rebound back. Now do me a favor, just pull your arms past. There's no stretch and doesn't feel like there's a rebound. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of. I don't take the weights from here when I'm on a bench and do a fly. I don't go, and then try to move them back up. Does that make sense? I control the weight as it opens to the point that I know I can control it back. Does that make sense? Cool. So this point of bounce is also a point of no more. Yes, yes? Kind of, sort of. So, Brock, come here for a second. So if we're here like this, and he starts to walk around me, stop right there. That's it. Point of no more. Yes? So if he continues to walk, keep walking, I move. Right? Because I'm not gonna let that happen. You with me on this? Kind of, sort of, maybe. And, by the way, because, right there, perfect, walk. Because there's tension built there, isn't there? If he gives a little bit more of a push, he pulls the trigger, I release that energy, and hey, I get a 1-foot turn. Magic. Thanks, man. Cool. So understanding points of no more, right? So come across, come across, come across. Hands will cross, come across. Get to that point of bounce. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Go past it. There's a collapsing and an open expanding of the back too much. And there's a collapse, right? Get to it. Feel that point of bounce. You with me? So when my hand comes across, comes across, comes across, comes across, to what? To that point. And then if it keeps being pulled, what happens? Hey, inside turn. Does that make sense? Cool. So, and by the way, that's super important for things like a side pass, right? Because I get to that point where I go, that's it, no more. I'm not going to give up any more of my arm. You with me on this? Cool. It's not Jason. What's your name again? Jack. I knew it was a J. Come here. So from here, as Jack leads me in a left side pass, from here, so leading the left side pass, I'm past my point of no more, aren't I? Can you all see that? Right? I'm past that point as I get to here. Give me a hand. Right? So this is bad. Right? What I'd rather do is I walk into that. Go ahead. I walk into this, and I get to the point. That's the point of no more. Okay, well, then that turns me because I'm tethered to him. I don't do a left side pass. I don't turn ahead of it. The whole, like, flashlight, stupidest thing ever. So, like, from here, the whole, like, I'm going to flashlight you like this, especially because it only works in that, because I'm going to flashlight you and do an underarm turn. That's exactly how we want you dancing, right? You should always flashlight your partner. Don't do that. Flashlight, 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 flashlight. It's lame, right? So, sorry. Can you all tell I'm opinionated, by the way? So, because I just want you walking forward. Go ahead. I want you walking, I guess it doesn't matter which side, go ahead. I want you walking forward until you get to the point of no more, and then that's going to rotate you around. You with me on that? It goes into a type of technique I call what? Starts with a T, tethering, right? I want you to tether. This is a tethered dance. West Coast Swing is a tethered dance. What's a tether? A tether is a pliable object that attaches two objects, one usually having more mass or stability than the other. There's a boat and a water skier. The tether is the rope. There's me and a kite. The tether is the string. Does that make sense? A tether is a pliable object that attaches two objects, one usually having greater mass or stability than the other. So in West Coast Swing, the follow is tethered to the leader. The arm is the tether. What's tetherball? Anybody know? What is it? Describe tetherball. Describe the three parts of a tetherball. There's a pole, there's a rope, and there's a ball. It's tether ball because the ball is what? Tethered to the pole. Right? What's the object in tetherball? Wrap the ball around. So I was a rock star tetherball player in high school. So the idea, if we're playing tetherball, the pole's there, he's on this side, I'm on this side, and I'm going to throw the ball. Anybody ever play tetherball? Right? So if I don't throw the ball this way, I don't throw the ball around the pole. If the pole's here, I don't go, where would I throw it? Straight. What would it do? Turn. Why? Because it's tethered. So if Jake's a pole, right, and I walk forward, and I then tether myself, and I walk forward, what's going to happen? I will turn. No, you just be a pole. You be my pole. I'm your dancer. All right, so from here, I know nothing awkward about that at all. So so as I walk forward and I grab this pole, eventually I'm going to go around, even if my energy is forward. Does that make sense? And what I would want to do, put the pole up, what I would want to do as we walk is I would get to the point, when would I know how to start to turn? When my arm gets to what? Point of no more. And now I know to rotate. So when he leads me in a left side pass, I walk forward to the point of no more. That tells me when to turn. So the rotation happens because I'm tethered to him. Does that make sense? No, yes? Great, awesome, thanks, man. Cool, so point of no more, point of no more, point of no more. Where's that point? Point of no more, right? Find where that is, right? So you should know what that is because we have a pliable frame that moves to those points. You with me on this? Cool, point of no more, lift your arms up. Great. By the way, a really good one for the ladies, right, for follows with point of no more. So how many of you in here have ever taken ballet? Great, so good. So give me fifth position. Give me fifth. Fifth position. Great. So in fifth position with your arms, right, can you look up and see your fingers? You bet you can. Everybody do this. This is fifth. Right, fifth position. I don't mean in the feet. I just mean in the arms, right? So I can look up and I can see my fingers. Do me a favor. Take your fifth position and put it right over the top of your head. Feel what that does to your shoulders. Feel what that does to your shoulders? Leaders, feel that. Feel that. Really, really take that in for a second. Really understand what that feels like. Now put it here. I get my back, I get my shoulders, don't I? Go back over the head. Great. So when a teacher tells you, you want to turn the partner by just putting your hand over the middle, put your hand over the middle of her head. That's where you want to turn her. You just go, okay, and then don't do it. Because you're putting her hand here. I want her hand here. Right? So is Lorene Baldovi still here? She left. She left. All right, got it. I was going to do some stuff. Right? Oh, but Cameo, come here, because we talked about this. Everybody say hi, Cameo. Right? How fabulous is she? I love dancing with her so much. We have such a Palm Springs, we draw each other so much here. We have recently, yeah, it's true. All right, we joke. You guys weren't in this all-star class I taught last night, but Cameo's mom was my very first invitational partner ever. So at the second Capitol, I was in the Invitational Jack and Jill for my first time at the invitational level, and I drew Cameo's mom, and we came in second place. And I drew Cameo's mom a ton over the course of the next 2 years, just like I draw Cameo. I'm just drawn to the crosses, right? So, but I never actually won with Amber. We came in second a bunch, but we never won. So we always joke that, she goes, Mom, just so you know, I've won with him. All right, so like, Amber's response is, well, he wasn't very good then, right? So He was new. He was new at that point in time. You got him seasoned. I got him new. All right. So illusion turns. These are illusion turns. Have you guys ever seen these? Look at where my hand is. It's in front of her head. Does that make sense? But you're going to watch people in routines and everything else do this where they're doing it right over the head. Does that make sense? And I'm pushing the lady back. Right. When I turn Cameo, the hand's in front of her. It's where it would be about in fifth position. It's not directly over her head. Does that make sense? Now there's two things. One, leaders put it there. Two, followers push it there. Right? Right. So I don't want followers pushing it there, and I don't want leaders putting it there. I want it to maintain here so you still get this space and the usage of your back. You with me on that? Put it over your head. That's bad. Put it right in front. There we go. Can you feel your back change? Do that again. Feel your shoulder. Now, when you do this, feel your back. That makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Right? Ribs, back, all of it. Yes, everything. As soon as I do this, I'm opening up things I shouldn't be opening up. Right? I get to control all of this. So as a leader, I'm always thinking about turning the lady right there as opposed to right over her head. Yes? Thank you, doll. So I would create outward energy towards that. There comes a point at which you're like, well, that's it. Like, there's the point or no more. I'm not going to, Brandy has her 4 Ps. Posture, pitch, poise, position, right? And position is the position of the arms. We use the word position instead of frame, right? So position. So if a guy pulls on her, well, she back up. She won't let this happen. She just, that's it. Now, at some point, the leader knows that that's it. You're not moving anymore. Like, so that outside turn happens, that's it. She doesn't let that occur. Does that make sense? Leaders in that moment don't think enough like, I have to pull stronger because I want her to be over the middle of her head. What they'll feel, the resistance as being no more, and then they'll turn you from there. Because I asked Brandy that. I go, well, do you find guys fighting that? She goes, no, because instinctually, it's all happening so fast, they just feel that the hand's not moving anymore. Most guys actually don't target the middle of the head. Right, that's not an intentional target. It's an assumed target. There's that, for lack of a better word, that subconscious part of the brain thinks that that's what they're supposed to do. They're not going, I think I'm going to put my hand in the middle of her head. I don't think they think that. I think that their mind thinks that that's what it has seen. Does that make sense? So then they go for it until you're taught otherwise. Lots of times what you see is an illusion, and then what your body creates isn't actually what it's seeing. I did this in a class where I took the whole class and I made them turn away from a mirror. This is at Dance Manhattan in New York. And I said, I want you all to do this. So they all were behind me. And I said, are you all there? There was no mirror in front of us. And they said, yes, 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 yes. I said, everybody there? They were like, yes. I go, right arm in front, left arm. Yes, they all did that. I turned around and more than half the class was like this. Now they all thought they were doing exactly what I did. No, I said nothing. I said, okay, turn around. Let's all face the mirror. So we all faced the mirror. Now they're all behind me, and I go, let's do it again. Get to here, and they all went, and then somebody, oh, whoa, okay. Once they get and everybody who was off made the adjustment, except for 2 people, stayed like this, and could swear that even is what they see, that they were doing what I was doing, until I walked over and corrected them, and then they went, oh, right. And I went, is that better? And they're like, it is. And they were like, how did I not know that? In seeing it, and seeing myself, and seeing you, I still couldn't do it. Because sometimes our mind doesn't know how to reproduce what we see, which is our responsibility as a teacher to make sure that we teach that. You with me on that? And what we can do as follows and as leaders is make sure we're targeting the right places, right? And not letting somebody negatively affect us. The best compensation, I get lots of, what do you do when a guy does this? What do you do when a girl does this? What do you do? Lots of those. How many of you are in class and have been guilty of asking that question? Right, which is fine. Right, you ask the question, what do I do? What do I do? The best defense for a bad leader, a bad follow, is perfect technique. Is not altering your technique, but managing your technique. Making sure your technique is exactly what it's supposed to be. That's your first place. Then you might have to go to some sort of alteration. But before you do anything else, check into your technique. because we tend to match the person's negative technique, right? And then we try to find the compensation instead of checking into my technique. I manage me. I come to this dance with my affairs in order. You with me on that? Come to the dance with that. If I don't try to fix it in that moment. I come with my affairs in order. And if something's negatively happening, well, I keep my affairs in order. And then if I have to make a compensation, then I'll make a compensation. Yeah, kind of, sort of. You should. By the way, ballroom dancers do this all the time. Talk about ballroom dancers. They do this all the time. What did you do? Smooth, rhythm, standard, anything? West Coast. Right. Right, for sure. I tell people all the time, take International Latin, take ballet, take American Smooth. All of those things will help your West Coast swing tremendously. Right? So, besides Tessa, because I know she's done this, somebody who I don't know, not Shauna either. Anybody take standard or smooth in here? Somebody who I wouldn't know? Standard? Or come here, Lisa. Because I've not done this with you. So did you do smooth or standard? Doesn't much matter, right? Did you ever do it competitively? Yeah. Like Pro-Am or whatever? Okay, so we're going to dance, right? So what do I do first normally? I lift up my left arm, right? And you walk in towards me, don't you? Right, she walks in towards me. Now, if I was her teacher, walk in towards me. Now, see where she's at? Walk in towards me and don't do that. Walk in towards me and try to fix yourself once you get to me. So I'm here. You walk in. Wouldn't I? Anybody ever take, especially from a Russian coach? Anybody say from a Russian coach? Right? So like Igor and Irina Suvorov were my coaches for a long time. So if I did this and I presented and I waited for you, come towards me, right? Do it right, right? She would do it right. She would come in and we would prepare to start to move. If she came to me with her affairs not in order, I would know. You don't get to touch my hand until your affairs are in order. You don't get to me and then try to figure it out. Does that make sense? In West Coast Swing, when I present my hand, my affairs are in order. I don't present my hand and then try to figure out what's going on. No, no, no. My affairs are in order the second I touch your hand. I am exactly where I need to be right now to be able to move her. There's no adjustment necessary once I take that hand. You with me on this? And most of us take the hand and then try to figure it out. Right? You put your affairs in order. Then, from there, you can make adjustments. Does that make sense? But if we both come not in that place, and then we're trying to find each other, we're both in constant compensation mode right away. Yeah? Cool. Yes, thanks so much. Uh-huh. Right. So the question is when the music started, but we haven't started to move yet, and I'm waiting to follow him. Right? West Coast Swing, and it's different. When I did Arthur Murray, and then I did regular, because Arthur Murray's irregular. So when I did regular, that's awesome. Right. But this is me not having my affairs in order. This sucks. Right? I would never take you into closed like this. Right? So if we're going to go into closed, I'm into closed. Like I'm engaged, aren't I? Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move. My affairs are in order, and then we move. Does that make sense? I don't come in here like this, and then the music starts, and then I try to get my affairs in order. It's a huge difference, right? Unfortunately, this is what you get. Watch it in the Strictly Swings. Watch it in the Jack and Jill. Okay. And like nobody talks to each other. Mm-hmm. Awkward moment, right? Nobody, you don't even look at each other, right? So, right. So from here, my affairs are in order, right away. Boom, everything. It's right where it needs to be, so that I can just start to move right away. I didn't have to do anything. What's your name? Sarah. To start moving Sarah right away. Boom, nothing. Because once I put my affairs in order, chances are, what did she do? Put hers in order. Does that make sense? Now, ideally, she comes to the table already that way. Yes, but so I just go whoop. There, now, anything I want to do, I'm right away. There's no compensation necessary. There's no finding her. We know exactly where each other are. That's very beautiful. Give a round of applause. That was great. Does that make sense? So before we can connect, we have to have our affairs in order. We have to know where our points of no more are. Okay, so now, next, and getting to the points of no more, because you will actually connect with a partner today, I promise. So in getting to the points of no more, right, I could put your arms out. So slowly go to here, go back up to there, Great. So now just go to a point. Let's say this is A. Now go to B. Right. Go back to A. So just quickly go to B. B. Right. So I can do that very relaxed. Right. Or go out to A. Put the other hand in front. Now when I push on it, I want to absorb to B over a period of time. I want to collect the weight over a period of time. So do that again. So I'm going to collect the weight over a period of time. So I call that resisted release because I'm going to release the arm in the direction it's asked. My arm is being asked to come towards me. So I'm going to let it do that, but I'm going to do it with resistance. Does that make sense? Put the arm at B. Put the hand over the top, right? So pull the arm out with no resistance. Come back. By the way, if you pull the arm out with no resistance and try to stop at the point of no more, go from here. So in a second, you're going to pull the arm out with no resistance, fast, and you're going to try to stop at the point of no more. You all with me on this? 1, 2, 3, go. Did anybody feel the kickback? There was a kickback, wasn't there? Right? There was either a kickback or you actually released your shoulder and you didn't get a chance to get to the point of no more. Because before you got to the point of no more, you already passed it. Yes? So that's one of the problems with neutral, is leaders get to that point of no more and it creates the kickback. The kickback feels like a pull forward to the ladies. Right? And ladies, when you're neutral, when I don't feel you until 6 and you go 5 and on 6, you go to there, there's that kickback, and it makes me feel like you're saying, pull me forward. And then I'm going to pull you forward before you're ready. Because there's a little bit of a bounce back. There's a little bit of a bounce back once we get there. I just exaggerated it. But as I watched you, if we'd had it on, and it's on film, you'll see some of you go, there's that little pullback. Because if I'm going out with no resistance, I'm probably going to pass the point of no more and then have to come back to it. Now, with resisted release, right? With resistance. So 10, by the way, 10, it doesn't move. Do it 10. Doesn't move at 10. Doesn't move at 10. 0, out. Come back. Make it a 5. Get to the point of no more. You can register where the point of no more is before you get there, can't you? Hello? Great. Do the other side. Resisted release, resisted release, resisted release, resisted release. Yeah? So I can actually soften the landing of my arm saying no more. Yeah. This is huge. Resisted release is one of the most important things for connection. Understanding that I must have resistance in my journey to wherever my arms are being asked to go. The amount of resistance is going to be relative to what's acting upon you, right? So how much resistance I give is going to be relative to my partner. The amount of resistance I give when I'm dancing with Sarah Van Drake is different than the amount of resistance I get when I dance with Khalees Key. If I give it a number, Sarah dances right around a 5, maybe a 6. Khalees dances at like an 8, right? They're both little ladies, right? They're both small. It has nothing to do with their body weight, right? They're both tiny. But Khalees dances a much heavier connection than Sarah dances. So what? Just means that my band goes from yellow to blue. You with me on that? It's still elastic. It still has all the same principles and philosophies. It just has a little bit more tonal strength. Yes? Not just to avoid kickback, but to also communicate through the journey. Because while I'm going away, it's all good. So from here, while I'm going away, just hang out for a second. While I'm going away with resist release, you feel me the entire time. If I do this, you don't feel me, you don't feel me, you don't feel me, and now you feel me. Does that make sense? Here, right now, he's feeling every step I'm taking. He's feeling every step I'm taking, right, through that. Yes? Cool. As opposed to nothing, something. Kind of, sort of. So resisted release also lets you feel when I'm done. What's the confusion in your eyebrows?
Well, it's just really different.
Right. He just said it's just really different. Yes, it is. Yeah, I promise you it's really different, right? Because it's going to be more connection than you're used to. But if I'm driving the boat, I better feel the water skier. I don't just drive. The rope can be flipping in the back, and I could have lost the water skier and had no idea, right? That is right. I need to know what's going on. Does that make sense? Yes, kind of, sort of, maybe? So you can do that. You go, okay, how much? So if you do that for yourself, how much resisted release do I need? So set it for yourself. When I do it to myself, 3 or 4 might work. Come on, you should all do it, right? Pull it across. Know what all that. Pull it too far. Feel what that feels like, right? So what happens is when you get to the point of no more, let's say I'm at a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. As I get to the point of no more, it kind of goes 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because it gets to a point of 10 because now I'm going to move. Does that make sense? Say yes. Awesome. Same thing here. It's like 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to soften that landing as we go. Yeah. Okay, cool. So resisted release, super, super, super important. Lots of places where resisted release occur, right? Shauna, can I borrow you? Shauna Bakari. Shauna. It's okay. Right. So this. Resisted release. Watch. This arm, right? The one with the wristband, right? As I do this. That's resisted release. I'm not pushing her there. I'm not pushing her there. I send her there, and then through resisted release, I have her pull me. Now, the illusion to you is it looks like I'm sending her. There's no energy of my arms going at her. I've sent here. There's the send. Everything else from there is listening and resisting. You all with me on this? So I send, now I'm resisting. Everything's resisting. Right? So that's resisted release the whole time. I get to soften the landing. When I do this, watch this hand. Right? Resisted release. This isn't me pushing her where I want her to go and then pulling her where I want her to go. I catch. This is the send. That's the send. Now I'm catching. Now she's going. So she's going. That's resisted release. I'm resisting that. There's resistance there. I'm not pushing towards her. And because she's what? What is she to me? Tethered. Because she's tethered to me and she fills space, what's she going to do over here? Round. She's going to round off because she's tethered to me. So I create resisted release. She's tethered to me. She rounds off. That's how that happens. And at no point am I pushing or pulling to get her where I want her to go. It even looks different, doesn't it? Right? But if we understand that connection is usually a setup of momentum and then a system of countering. It's me setting up momentum and then it's a system of countering and resistance. Resisted release. Right? That's really where connection comes from. Right? Because now it's a more natural sense of connection and this becomes super easy. Resisted release. Even as we go to there, go ahead. That's resisted release. I'm not pushing her to there. Most leaders plant in place. They go ba, 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 They plant and place the lady. Right? They roll in, they plant, and then place the lady. I send and receive. I send the energy, sorry. So I'll send the energy from here, right here, boom. So I've sent the energy. I'm sorry, I got a little far away. Come back. Send the energy. Then I'll get to the rib. Now as she goes, resisted release carries me to that foot. So she takes me to the foot. She goes, and I'm resisting. Right? So as we do that, boom, boom, you're going to see me have her take me, not me plant and then catch. Yes, yes? Because if I plant and catch, there's going to be that rebound. There's this. That rebound will always happen. Because I'm at neutral, 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 and then I get to the point of no more, and that little rebound's going to happen. Yeah. So if I want her to go quickly, I can do that. If I want her to wait, I can do that too. All through resisted release and softening the landing. Yeah? Looks different, feels different. I promise you it's different, right, than what you're probably used to. Good, thanks so much. Now, one of the reasons why you're not taught this is because lots of teachers either A, don't know it, B, don't do it themselves, right, or C, don't believe you can handle it. And that's more the case. More the case is teachers don't think students can handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. Sorry. Anybody? Movie quote? Anybody? Right, cool. So, and I think you can handle the truth. All right, so we got resisted release. Now, do me a favor. Pick a partner. It could be girl, girl, boy, boy. I don't care. Just somebody right next to you. As I go get my coffee. It could be girl, girl, boy, boy. Does not matter. You're not doing West Coast Swing. This is a drill you can do at home with anybody who doesn't even, they don't even have to do West Coast swinging. You can do this drill. Great. Who doesn't have somebody? Raise your hand if you don't have somebody. Does anybody not have somebody? I got a single. I got one single. Michelle, will you jump in for me? Thanks. Right, right. Cameo cross. Can I borrow you? Great. So, Cameo's going to go like this. Right. So now, I'm going to lift Cameo's arms up. Right? So when I let go of them, they should stay there. If I wanted to bend her elbows, they should bend and stay there. Right? So this is like what? What did I call that? Waxy flexibility. I also call it lead port de bras. Lead port de bras. Relax for a second. How many of you here have taken ballet? I know you have. Right besides you. Right? So what's port de bras mean? Don't say it. Carriage of arms. Port de bras is carriage of arms. Porta is carriage, bra is arms. Right? It's carriage of arms. How we carry our arms. That's port de bras. So when you go to ballet and you were to do port de bras, it's all about how we move our arms. You with me on this? So this is going to be lead port de bras. So she's going to go to first position. I'm going to pick up. If I let go, that's where it stays. You with me on that? Cool. So she's not fighting me. There's no fight. There's also no bounce back, by the way. So like push out. So if she pushes out and I go to move her, see that? I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that extra movement. So if I'm here and I pick up, so when I let go, let them drop down and reset. Basically do it wrong, right? So I don't want that to happen. You with me on that? Because I want her along the way to control the journey as well. So that when I let go, and by the way, I don't let go without trusting. I can sense that she's good. She's good. She's got it. We're good. This is great. Lead port de bras. Somebody pick who leads, somebody pick who does port de bras, and then switch it up. Try it. All right, and then switch it up. Change. Make sure you're changing. Yeah, we're about to get to that. Great. So now, so you all played with it a little bit, right? So by the way, I can do things with this. Like I can do, if we're here in first position, I can do this and also start to play with points of no more. So I can lift this up, right? I can push this towards. Now if I push it towards, it's going to get to a point of what? If I continue to push, what will Cameo do? Back up, right? And by the way, if I continue to push and stay in place, she extends to what? Point of no more. And then what does she do? Stops. If I back up, what will she do? She'll come forward. Does that make sense? So I can actually start to play with port de bras to points of no more. Lead port de bras. Does that make sense? So I can start to take this lead port de bras that we just did, right? Moving it all around, and then go, okay, if I bring this across, eventually she's going to turn because she should get to the point of no more. Now for lead port de bras, that means that she's probably going to have resisted release as she gets to the points of no more. It's just not very much. For the sake of this exercise, if I give it a number, you're like a 2 or a 3. Does that make sense? But there will be, because if this was wire, there would be some resistance as I bent the wire, wouldn't there? It's not string. Nudge your heads if you get that. Right? So there would be some level of resistance, right? So you're going to do this. Feel what that feels like, all of that, right? As I move it across, she'll move as it gets to the point of no more. Does that make sense? Yeah? If I lift it up and I go this way, once it gets to the point of no more, she moves. Yes, yes, yes. If I'm here, moving the arms, wherever I move the arms, she keeps them. If I back up, point of no more, and she walks forward. Yes, yes? So that we're all going to do like spokes, right? So that you're either going to breathe towards me or away from me. but do that movement with somebody leading it and then switch it and have the other person lead it. No triple steps. We're not doing West Coast swing. Does that make sense? We're just doing lead port de bras, actually getting to the points of no more and moving them. Try it. And then I slowly increase it. Does that make sense? And then we do things like where if I get to this point and I push, you turn until, now if you stay in second, until you get to bing, a pointer no more. Bing, a pointer no more. So you get to the point of bounce. You keep moving until the point. Does that make sense? Right. Now you can't be confusing. You're like, but I am confused. Watch. This doesn't work. That becomes neutral, right? You're like, go. Well, which way, right? Either you're wanting her to go this way, or you're wanting her to go that way into a hammerlock or something, right? Does that make sense? So some of you are like, oh, okay, this is good. And why are we stuck? Because you're countering each other, right? Fine. So if you're going to move her and want to turn her, make sure that you're very clear, or him, make sure you're very clear in what's going on. Last time with this partner, try it again. Make sure you're going back and forth. All right, great. Do me a favor. Right now. So what I want you to do is just pick one of you to rotate, because some of you are guy, girl. Just pick who's going to look at each other and say, you want to rotate, or I'll rotate. And whoever's going to rotate, go to the next person line of dance. I almost want this to stay on some level, girl, and boy at different times. So I want everybody to feel this. Great. Now, so we're going to do it again, right? You have a question, Connor? Right? So funny, we're just about to do this, right? So the next exercise we're going to do, I call sticky hands, right? And sticky hands has to have an outward energy, right? So I'll feed slowly into what your question was, right? So from here, one of the things with sticky hands, the idea of sticky hands is my hands on top of Cameo's, right? Say yes. So I want Cameo. Cameo is to keep her hand attached to my hand. So she failed. Still failed. I thought you were good. Nope, still failed, right? So from here, she can't, no matter how good Cameo is. For the record, her mom totally could. But, so I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Yeah, exactly, right. She's like, watch how flexible I am. Kuh, right? So, no, because I'm leaving without her. I have no intention of bringing her with me, right? So I have like this kind of outward energy. Now I want her to keep her hand with me, right? So that time her hand stayed with me, right? Because she felt, and we can even go, so we're a little, she's kind of pushing up. Don't push up at all, right? She still stayed with me because I asked her, I put movement in the hand. I asked the hand to come up with me. And then I waited for it to start. So don't go. So if no, I'm asking, I'm commencing to move my hand up, and she's not searching it out. She's not searching out the connection. So I go, wait, she's not searching out. Now I might push down to then push back up. I'm going to do something that gets her to seek the connection. Does that make sense? With no more energy than what I'm asking of her. So push up. I don't want her pushing up to where I feel like I have to I don't want her being the driving force up. I'm the driving force up. So the idea of sticky hands, right, using sticky hands as an exercise, is wherever we're touching, all we're doing is seeking out the connection point, wherever the connection point is, right? So we're just seeking out the connection point wherever the connection point is. Does not matter where the connection point is. We're just seeking out the connection point. And I, as a leader, am being patient enough to make sure that I know she's going with me. I don't just leave her. Does that make sense? I make sure that she feels and then commences to seek out the connection. It's how lots of the pros, hold on real fast, lots of the pros will do things like, where they'll go like this, boom, and we'll go here like this. Look at what she did. See what she did? She sought the connection as it was moving. Does that make sense? We seek the connection. So if I'm in here, she's going to seek out the connection, and I'm just presenting it to her. Yeah. So that's sticky hands. Yeah. The speed of the connection. Say that again. Right. 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 Well, it has to be, it's more about intention than it is about speed. Because if we're here, right, and I do this, she goes with me, right? Hold on a second. So if we do this, and I can speed up too. But I can't speed up in the initiation. I have to make sure she's with me before I accelerate. So I can't just leave without her. Right. The initial speed can create it. It's, for me, it's all about intention. Say intention. Right. My intention is to make sure she's coming with me. That's my intention. I make sure she comes with me. And by the way, if I really want to go fast right away, I probably won't go straight up. I'll probably take it out a little bit so that I can actually have a little bit of resistance to one side or the other. Right? But if we're down here and I want that hand to go fast, I have to make sure she's with me. Then I can accelerate. I didn't grab her hand, and she stayed with me. But she stayed with me because along the way, I stayed true to the connection. She sought the connection, and I communicated the connection. Does that make sense? I don't just leave and then hope that she stays with me. It's not her responsibility to just stay with me without any information from me. I need to give her the information that I'm moving, and then she needs to make sure she seeks out that information. We both have a responsibility here. You with me on that? So what you're going to do is go to port de bras, and you're going to do sticky hands. So from here, right, as I open, as I move, wherever the connection is, follows are going to seek it out. Now in this instance, you're not doing waxy flexibility, where when I let go of you, you just stay there. You're not static as a follow. In this instance, you're going to have movement. You're going to be active. You're going to be dynamic because you're going to be searching out the connection. Do you see that? I lift that hands. She's seeking that out. I'm not pulling her hands. She's seeking out the connection. You with me on this? So the whole time we are seeking out the connection wherever the connection is. So that's how the pros do things in here, because all we're doing is seeking out the connection. You with me on this? Sticky hands. Try it. By the way, just do this first. Stop. Everybody do this. Put one hand on top of the other hand. Pick who the leader is. Put one hand on top of the other hand. Right? Do me a favor. Without any intention, just leave the hand. Feel that. Do it again. Without any intention, leave the hand. So that sucks. Right? Try to tell the person that you want their hand to seek your hand. Can you feel that? It's a different intention, isn't it? No, yes? Great. Switch it up. The other person try it. Do it wrong first, too. They said one of our coaches. I go, who? And they said Tony Redpath. Now she learned it from this guy named Ray Rivers, but I was like, oh my God, I forgot all about this. This is perfect. Why the hell? This is probably like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. It's great. Now wait, go ahead and stop. Are any of you, as I look around, are any of you picking up on the fact, that there's no negative tension in the arm? You're not like overly stiff. You can't be. You have to be active. And none of you were breaking frame. And none of you were relaxed down with your arm. But you were being very communicative, weren't you? You were communicating to the partner. Things were moving. Hands were moving, right? You were connected. You had connection. You had constant connection. Does that make sense? You didn't have a lot of tension, but you had constant connection. Yes? Cool. Whoever the rotating person was, rotate again. Now, all right, y'all ready to get stupid? Right. So now, Cameo and I never get stupid. We never do things like sit down on the floor. Your face last night was so great. When I sat down on the floor, I think even Cameo was like, really? Like, I didn't even expect that from you. Like, I mean, I expect a lot, but maybe not the sitting on the floor, right? So, and by the way, I stole that from Tatiana because I got Tatiana into Jack and Jill one time, and she just sat down Indian style. She was like, we just danced, and it was the all skate. We were tired, and so she sat down Indian style, and I went, okay. And I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do, but here we go, right? So like, anyways, so what I want you to do, right, is we're gonna seek out connection. We're gonna seek out connection. We're gonna seek out connection, and I want you to seek out connection, right? Wherever. So we're just seeking out connection. Now there's two. I have to have the. I can't just go like this. I can't. It's not my responsibility to just move, and it's her responsibility to seek me out. It's also my responsibility to have the intention to bring her with. Did y'all get that? I have to have the intention of bringing her with. I have to have the intention. I have to know what I'm asking of the arm. So like I have to know what's happening next. Does that make sense? So, and if I place it somewhere else and that becomes the point of connection, I have to let her know that that's the point of connection. Does that make sense? So I have to tell her what she's seeking. Right? I have to tell her that she's seeking the rib. Does that make sense? I have to tell her that now she's going to seek this rib. Does that make sense? So I have to tell her what the connection is that she's seeking the whole time, never leaving without her. Yes? Try it. Pick who the leader is. And get silly. Connect at the knees, connect at the elbows. It's kind of a fun drill to like go through, right? Right, contact improv, exactly. Hey, Ben. Living the dream, man. Oh, right, right. It's funny because I'm seeing it right now. All right, so listen. Let me remind you of something that Cameo just reminded me of. She's like, you should tell them they can use their feet. She goes, because there's a point at which you go like, why can't I go? Oh, I could walk. I could, right? So, do you know, Brandy always says the tool, the most missed or unused tool, the most unused tool with connection is feet to the floor. I seek connection through the floor. My feet to the floor is how I seek connection in the hands. Right? So as we're doing this, and I'm walking around like she's using her feet. Don't go like you're not in cement shoes, right? Where you go like, well, God, but like I'm at the point of no more, but they're still moving. Oh, well, hey, look, that's awesome. She said that, and we laughed about it, and then I looked around and I went, oh my God, they're all doing it. They're not moving their feet. All right, so switch leads. Try it again. Make sure you're going back and forth. I'm good, though. That's pretty good. All right, whoever was rotating, rotate. That was pretty good. I like that. Yes, sir. Shh. Right. Well, for sure. Here's as I hear you speaking about the question was, or the comment was a little bit more like, as he's going into, and you'll tell me if I heard this wrong. I want to make sure I heard you right. So that as I'm going into a move, I have a very set idea of what I want that move to be. And so as I go into that move, if she's not seeking it out or whatever, I'm like, then I have to make some sort of compensation to get her there or whatever. So that I'm like, hey, why isn't she going where I'm telling her to go? I'm doing this. Does that make sense? Right. So she had a different idea. She has a different idea. For me, first of all, happy to adapt. Happy to adapt. Does that make sense? We did this trick yesterday. I pulled this way, we came this way, and Cameo did something else. I didn't go, no, get back there. I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's great, awesome. Whatever you're doing, that's what we're gonna do. Right? So I just adapted that. But she communicated through the connection that she was changing it up. Right? So it wasn't what I had planned. I don't care. She didn't leave the connection. She stayed true to the connection. So then it becomes a conversation where we just changed subjects. And I go, okay, well, I can still have a conversation with you and we can change subjects. Does that make sense? So be open-minded to that, first of all. So the first thing is A, be okay with it and be open-minded to it. B, most of the time that confusion happens. Most of the time that confusion happens when you don't pre-lead. So you know what? When you don't pre-lead, when I don't tell enough. Because I'll tell you what, last night, if something goes wrong in a move or whatever, most of the time I blame myself. I always go, what did I do? What did I do? So that didn't go wrong, it went right because she's brilliant. As we did the drag, and then we went like this, I actually, and this is not like me, I didn't have an out. I didn't know what I wanted to do in that moment. And I was a little like, crap. Like I don't ever not have an out. I have a game plan all the time. I don't know what the content's gonna be, but I have a game plan. So that's just me, doesn't have to be you. I have a game plan. So we get to here and I was like, and I think there was some ambiguity. Yeah, I can speak, right? So in my lead. And so she went, oh, I gotta get out of this. So I didn't pre-lead an out. So in the moment that I thought, oh, I have an out, it was too late. I hadn't pre-led. And there was a window that opened up for her to have an out. Now I happened to love her out, right? I was like, ooh, there's a reason you're Cameo Cross, right? So like, because it was better than what I was about to do, right? So for me, it's about pre-leading. And what this teaches you, why this exercise is so important for leaders, is because it teaches me to have to make sure that I understand the intent of what I'm looking to do. So just so you know, when I started up, I already knew I was going to go that way and that way. Does that make sense? I knew it. So when I start up from here, I knew the second I started up, I knew I was going to swing slow, go all the way down, and change my wrist position. I had it in my head so that the intention would be there the entire time. Because if she senses intention, if she senses a confident intention, chances are she won't interrupt that. She'll listen more than she'll talk. I say it. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go around. I'm going to extend the arm. I'm going to change the wrists. I say it. Right? Everybody stick your arm out. Great. Lower it. Put it up over your head. Great. Lower it. So you told yourself to do it. I told you to do it, and then you just did it. Right? Now, somebody besides Claude or Brock, right, or anybody else who might have a biology or be a doctor or a personal trainer, tell me every single muscle group, command out loud the muscle group to lift your arm. Yeah, I want every ligament, every tendon, everything. You can't do it. You can't do it. But you can get your it's not really subconscious and conscious, right, Claude? It's not really subconscious and conscious, right? That's the wrong terminology for the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, or is that the right terminology? It's pyramidal and extrapyramidal, right? Right. So the idea is that I can't multitask my muscle groups fast enough to do something. So when I trip, I can't multitask. I can't consciously tell myself how to fix my balance. So if I trip, I can't go, oh my God, bend this knee, flex my quadricep, lift my right arm out to the side, duck my head, lift my shoulder, whatever it's going to take. Like I used to do, I've been doing this for years. This is the analogy I've used for 20-something years of teaching. I say, shake my hand. So Cameo shook my hand. Now if I said, I'm going to lift my arm out, before you shake my hand, you have to tell me everything you're doing as you do it. She can't. If we had to survive as a human race based on conscious movement being the commanding of every multitask muscle group that's moving, we wouldn't have survived as a race. A bear! Turn my head, run, eaten, we're gone, we're dead. Right? We can't, it has to be extrapyramidal. Walking is extrapyramidal. You don't think about it, you just do it. You tell yourself to walk, and then your body knows how to do it. I told myself, make a big circle and switch. I spoke the command. Does that make sense? Trusting that my body knew how to do it. You with me on that? So, which means you have to know what you're talking about before you start talking. Practice, repetition, and thinking, being present. So if Cammie and I are having a physical conversation, like right now I'm doing all the talking, she's listening. But if we were really having a conversation, when we have great conversations, so if we were talking, right? Or if Ben and Cammie are at my house and we're chilling and we're having a conversation, right? Body language, like you know when somebody has finished a thought that you can add to. You also understand when maybe that thought is done and we can move to a different topic. You can understand all of those things. There's no, if I just said to Cameo, hi. Right, so we don't know where we're going yet, do we? Does that make sense? And lots of leaders go, hi, with their lead, right? So, and it's too ambiguous, right? Does that make sense? They go, hi. And it's a little like they go, hi, let me see where this conversation's going to go. No. Nope. Anybody know what improv is? Right? So contact improv, right, or targeted improv. Targeted improv means that you have a target you must hit, right? So if I said, somebody give me a profession. Doctor, great. Somebody give me a color. Blue, right. So doctor, blue, give me an animal. Elephant. Right, Dr. Blue Elephant. So we're going to have a conversation about that, right? So, oh my God, doctor, I have something I have to tell you.
Please tell me.
Well, I have this elephant, and it's turning blue, right? So we can go into this. Does that make sense? And now, I just did that quickly, but I could go, I could have said, oh my God, doctor, tell me you work on elephants.
I do.
What type of elephants?
Blue one.
Oh, it's great, because I have a blue elephant, right? And then that's funny, right? So but we have to just make a decision and start to talk. So we have targets. We have target moves that I kind of want to hit. That's my targeted improv. And I try to hope that I set up a conversation to land what she wants to do. And by the way, did anybody see my body language? When I said, doctor, tell me you work on elephants. She said, what kind of elephant? She said, I do. I said, what kind of elephant? Saying, please land blue. I said, please say blue. She didn't say big ones and hope that I said, well, mine's blue. Everything in my body said, oh my God, please land the joke. And she did. Does that make sense? That's lead follow. Right? So my idea when I'm dancing is that I already have the starting of a conversation. I have to know what my conversation is. That whole I'm just going to figure it out as we go. There's very few Kyle Reds in the world who have the ability to kind of do that a little bit. Kyle's very good at improv that doesn't need targets. Almost every other leader has targeted improv, right? And actually Kyle kind of does too, right? Kyle's like, no, I definitely have a structure, a skeleton that I'm going to set up, and then he's more pliable with it. Does that make sense? But you have to know what the conversation is. So I can't go, I'm going to start to move my hand, and then let me see where that goes. Oh, I think I want to, because that's chances are that ambiguous, that wishy-washy side of that lead, they pick up on. And it doesn't build confidence. And so there's a chance that they're going to be like, well, he's not very confident in what's going on, so I have to make a choice. Does that make sense? Or I have to figure out what he's doing because I'm not really sure what he's doing. If I'm not sure of what I'm doing, she has to figure it out. But I'm very sure of what I'm doing, so she doesn't figure anything out. But if I want to do this, right? And as I go into that, I kind of go into it, and I'm not really sure what's going on. She has to kind of figure this out right now. Maybe she goes that way. Maybe she does do the turn. Maybe she turns on her own before I turn, right? Or she opens up and she goes and I go, wait, that's not. It's because as we were going into this, I was like, I think maybe I can go up and over. No, too late, right? I'm going to go up and over the head. Now, if something changes along the way, fine, I'll be open-minded to it. Does that make sense? But I'm very confident in my internal speech, right? I go down to Cameo's leg. Cameo's on that foot. I want to pick it up and bring her into the split. I have a very clear conversation that I want. When I get to her leg, I'm basically saying, hey, just so you know, I kind of need this leg. If I could just bend that knee a little bit to break that heel so that you know that you're going to have to lift that knee, right? It's exactly what happened. I was like, just saying. But because I did it I asked very nicely, but with confidence, she went, oh, got it, okay. Right, and so she knew what to do. I didn't go down and go, oh, I hope she gives me this foot, and if I touch her leg, will she give me? There's none of that. Right, exactly. No, there was no conversation. Right, no whisper. Does that make sense? You all get that? Cool. I know we kind of segued through that, but that's an important thing. So, Yes. It can. Mm-hmm. Right. So what you want to start to do, so if I'm doing this, by the way, when you do this exercise, my hand, as I connect, I'm keeping like, so that arc, this whole arc, whatever happens, I'm keeping it, right, with that hand connection. So I don't stop and then restart. Right? So lots of times with hand changes. So let's imagine this arc. Did you all see that? I'll do it here. Let's imagine this arc. Can you all see that? I'm going to change hands without affecting that arc, which means that one hand is going to have to take over the other hand without affecting that arc. So now I do that hand change, and one hand doesn't affect the other, right? On some level, right? On some level, she might not even know that the hand change has occurred because I don't affect the momentum. I don't take the hand, then restart, which is what most guys do with hand changes, right? They set up one energy, they change hands, and then they either try to continue that energy or they set up a new energy. I try to not break the energy of the flow of what's going on. So when I do hand changes, I don't go, right? If I'm going to do that hand change is going to, this hand is going to pick up with that hand. Let me say this. Has anybody here ever watched track and field? You ever watched a relay? I was on the relay team in middle school, right? They don't stand there, right, as the next runner comes up and go, and then they take off. No, the runner in front starts to run, and ideally, they get on the same stride and the same pace, and that handoff is smooth. Does that make sense? Because they try to not interrupt the momentum that's occurring for the transition. That's exactly what a hand change is in West Coast swing. I try to make sure that I'm matching the momentum that's occurring as I go to make that hand change. Even if I do a tuck, I don't go, right? I would draw, this hand would draw up with. It draws up with as the tuck occurs. Does that make sense? So the one runner is going with the other runner to then get the baton. Yeah, did you all get that? Kind of, sort of? So as you're doing this, sticky hands, right? Change hands. Change hands. See what that feels like to change hands. Can I send and then continue? Can I send and then continue? I'm sending the energy and continue with hand change, right? Try it. That baton runner analogy, that's good. That was my first time using that one. That's a new one. That's good. I looked over at you like, did you get that? That's a good one. That's new. Right, I got it right, exactly. Change hands. And change leads too. Change hands, change leads, then I'm going to rotate you in a second. Cool. Whoever was rotating, rotate. Rotate, rotate, rotate. With this partner, immediately start doing it again. Immediately start doing it again because we're going to have to move on. You almost look like you're doing Wing Chun, Karn. By the way, Cameo, I keep you out here, but you obviously don't have to stay. What's that? Okay, you totally can. Of course, I love that. Right. But my point is, I'm not trying to take advantage of the two of you. You can do it. Right. Right. That's awesome. I love him. All right, cool. Go ahead and stop. Great. So imagine, right? So imagine for me doing something even just something as simple as a whip, right? Something as simple as a whip. I go get the lady. I control the system that's going away, right? Does that make sense? To redirect. We're doing that same exact contact improv. So I don't wait, land. Does that make sense? I'm connected along the entire journey, just like you're doing for all of this. Does that make sense? So a sugar push, I don't go, right? I go get the weight. I collect the weight towards. I send the weight away. If you had done contact improv right now, and you picked up the hands and you were moving the hands, and you got to the point of no more, and you walked her towards you, you would walk her towards you slowly. If you then let her come into the point of no more, and then walk her away, what you wouldn't do in this exercise is get here and pull. You wouldn't do that. You also wouldn't pull, wait till she gets there, and then push her away. You would soften both sides of it through collecting of weight. Does that make sense? So if you were to take a partner right now, in a second, you're going to take your partner, and go like knuckles to palm. Like just watch. So this is the contact, right? This is our contact point, sticky hands. And I want to bring her towards me, right? And I want to collect her in, and I want her to move away, but I don't want her to move away in a sense where she would lose the contact with the hand, right? So I bring her in towards me. I wouldn't from here send her away where we could break contact with the hand. Does that make sense? Yep. What I will want to do, so from here, contact, I'm going to bring her in. I'm going to soften the collection over time. I'm going to send her away to the point at which we can still keep that contact with the hand, right? Do that, palms to knuckles. Pick who the leader is. By the way, don't do triple steps. Just walk backwards, collect weight, then send it away. Try it. That's good. Let me feel that. Do it to me. Works really well. It's a new one. Right. Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. So we're both let it, right? We went back and forth. Everybody let it. I say that because I'm seeing some people not leading it. Yes.
If we're both thinking of collecting weight at the same rate at the same time, when I was the one in charge of leading, it felt like I wasn't actually able to gauge or feel or maybe have some control of that weight. Does that make any sense? Like, you're the leader, and you're starting to ask me to come towards you, right? Right? And as you try and collect the weight, I do this, then I didn't feel like I was in control of it.
Right. So there was no resisted release as you came towards me, right? I need to feel your journey to what? No more. I need to feel the journey. Remember I said it's going to go like 5, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Does that make sense? So when you got to there and went, you stayed pretty much at neutral the entire time. And I know you were intending to do that, right? So what needs to happen is I need to make sure that as I start to do this, I feel the collection of the weight so that I then know how to redirect it. Does that make sense? Cool. We should feel us getting to that point. Yes. Yeah. Both of us should be communicating our arm journey, the journey of our arm to its points of no more. Both of us should be communicating that through resisted release at all times. It's as much your responsibility as it is mine. Let's not worry about the compensation right now. Let's work the skill first, and then I'll talk about compensation. Great. Try it again. And then I'll rotate you. One more time. Just pick who the leader is. All right, good. Rotate for me. Whoever's rotating, rotate. You know what's kind of fun to do with this too? Go from here. Watch. So I'm going to start to move. Cameo's going to move too, right? So did anybody notice what I just did? I extended my arms. As we went like here, as I started to get her move, I extended my arms, right? And then I can collect my arms, right? Now as I move her away from me, I can move. I can shift to the point that she's going to continue to move until she gets to the point of no more. And now we're in stretch. Does that make sense? I move, I collect. Look at the hand change. I collect the weight in. Now, I bent my arms more than she bent hers. Now she's finally bent hers. So we moved at 2 different rates. Doesn't matter to me. It's totally fine, right? Then I walk back. I extend my arms. She's now extending her arms. I can make the switch. Now we're at stretch. I can stop that. We're still hanging out at stretch. Does that make sense? To the point of no more as we collect in. Again, I'm not triple stepping. I'm just learning to transition forward and back using communication, trying to make sure that this point in between the two of us, this connected point, right, that we're using for sticky hands is I'm delivering my journey, she's delivering hers. My intent is never to leave her, to push her, or to shove her. It's collecting all of that, right? Try it. Try to collect in, try to go all the way out to stretch, make the hand change, and go back and forth. Do I have one single person? I do. Do I have another single person? No? Got it. All right, stop. Listen. Listen. Leaders, don't stop assuming they will continue. For every action, there's an equal yet opposite reaction. So if I do this with Marcus, so you're going to follow, right? So if I go here and I start to back up, right? And then I want to collect. I'm still moving, 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 I'm still moving from here. I'm still moving, 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 right? I don't, from here, do this, then me stop and hope that they continue. See how he stopped? And hope that they continue to move. If I stop my momentum, chances are they're going to stop theirs. So one of the biggest mistakes leaders make is leaders stop hoping they will continue. If you stop, it's going to feel like they need to stop because for every action, there's an equal yet opposite reaction. Yes, yes, yes? So my movement, the illusion can be that I'm not moving very much. If I move Marcus away, my arms are moving, but also this is moving. Does that make sense? I'm not going go and then hope that he continues to move and there's no motion in my body, right? So make sure you're keeping, even if it's just keeping your motor running, which is your feet, which is the thing I need to use the most for connection, right? Even if it's just keeping your feet moving, don't stop moving. Cool? Yes? Yeah, it never stops, right? Never stops. There's never a huh, right? The idea is if I go here, boom, Cameo's still into the hand. I still feel her. She has what I call what? Directional intent. She has directional intent. She doesn't all of a sudden go to neutral. So what's directional intent? How many of you drive a car? How many of you drive a car that's an automatic instead of a manual? Does anybody even drive a manual anymore? I love manuals, but anyways. But automatics, right, you put them in drive. So when you go to a stop sign, you put it in park? No. Nobody puts it in park. You just apply the brake. The car still wants to go forward, doesn't it? The car has directional intent, right? I don't want follows putting themselves in park. I want you staying in drive the whole time. So when I got Cameo to here, she was still in drive. I just applied the brake. Does that make sense? She didn't then go to park. Does that make sense? Because I don't know what to do with that. I know what to do when there's directional intent. Now, the illusion of this is that I'm not moving, but she absolutely feels the directional intent in my body. Does that make sense? Do you all get that? Don't put yourself in park. Yeah? Try it. It shouldn't, but everybody tends to do that for some reason, right? So the other thing I would say, just so you know, relax, stop. That's pretty good, right? So the other thing is, from here, I would do this. I would do this. I would do this with my hands like this, 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 right? Here, here, here. I would try to do this from different hand levels, right? And positions. Pull, collect, different hand levels. Does that make sense? Because different moves are going to have your hands in different positions. So we just need to learn to collect and move weight. And I would do it like this with cross hands, right? What does it mean to do that cross hand? To go to this side and then sender, right? Resetter. Could I go to here? What does that feel like? Like I try to set myself up into all of those situations. Yeah. I love you all, but can we shut the door? Because people paid extra for this. Sorry. Great. So, bunch of people out there getting freebies. All right. So, so I would do this, and I would do this with multiple handholds in multiple directions. Yes. Cool. Any other questions about that so far? I can, for sure. I don't have to, but I can. I try to use all of my faculties. So if I'm doing this, and I'm walking Cameo towards me, if everything in my body says, hey, just so you know, I want to redirect us, you'd see my whole body go. But I don't go, I'm going to pitch from the hip, taking my head weight. No, I speak. Hey, I want you to redirect. I say those words externally to her. Does that make sense? In my head, I say, hey, I would really like us to redirect. That's exactly what I say. People go, but what are you doing? I just told you what I'm doing. I say, hey, I really want us to redirect. Lift your arm up. Great. You can all do that. All you did was tell yourself to lift your arm up. You didn't tell yourself how to lift your arm. Does that make sense? So all I do is speak the command to my body, right? I go, okay, I really hope we can redirect. Right? I really hope we can redirect. Great. So I smiled and I really want to go in a circle. That's what I said to myself. I really want to go in a circle. What am I saying to myself? I really want to take an S, right? Like I'm literally saying those words. And then everything in my body starts to do it. You with me on this? Cool. All right. Before we get into the bands, because we're going to get into the bands. So now, when it comes to like resisted release and everything else, your point of no more can adjust. I have these 7 exercises, these 7 steps for resisted release, right? But it takes a long time, so I'm going to try to go through them really, really fast. Does that make sense? Because the band is going to be a little bit more important than that. But no, so get with the partner. You're with a partner, right? So somebody who's done this before, tell me the 2 questions you ask, or the questions you ask. What is it? Who moves? Oh my God, there's 10 of you in here that should have rattled this off. Who moves and who releases? Who moves and who releases? Yes? I just saw people go like, right, I should have known that. Right, so from here, we're bent in the elbow, right? So the question's going to be who moves and who releases. Say that. Those are the only thing you need answers for. So I'm going to say Cameo moves, Cameo releases. Okay? So I'm going to be a pole. My arm's not going to move. She's going to back up. So she's going to move and she's going to release until she gets to her what? Point of no more. Now she's going to keep her motor running. Meaning she's going to continue to move with steps. Once she's there, I'm going to find her. I still not moving my arm. I'm just going to find her. See how I found her? Right? Then I'm going to redirect her and stop. Just 1 or 2 steps backwards. That's it. So again, she moves, she releases. Right? So she does that. I can feel when she's done and find her. And I can redirect her. I can feel that. I couldn't feel it. She wouldn't be able to feel it if I had nothing, and then I got to there. Does that make sense? So she has to use resisted release along the way to tell me when her arm journey is complete. Nod your heads if you get that. So I'm just going to give you all 7 of them. So she moves, she releases. She moves, I release. She moves, we release. That's the first 3. So she moves, she releases. That's the first one. Keeps her motor running. I find her. I redirect. The second one, she keeps her arm in. Her arm does not move. She's going to move, but she's pulling my arm out. She moves until I've reached my arm journey. I find her. Then I redirect her. Then we start. She moves, and we both release. Go ahead. Now, she might release sooner than me. Keeps her motor running. Redirect. She might, go ahead and move. She might move because I have less tension. I've released my arm, then she releases hers. The rate at which we're both releasing our arms is probably not going to be the same. I don't care if I release sooner or she releases sooner. I'm just paying attention to the completed journey. Does that make sense? So she moves, she releases. She moves, I release. She moves, we both release. Nod your heads if you get that. You want to guess the next three? Vice versa. I move, I release. I move, she releases. I move, we release. Right? So I move and I release. I keep my motor running. She finds me. I still redirect her as a leader, right? I move, she releases. Now, this is a really important one because I have to learn to register when a lady's done. Because from here, if I do this and she's finished and I continue to go, if she feels pulled, I went too far. I have to soften that landing, right? And then I move and we release until she finds me and then redirect. So those are the 6, right? So try those right now. This is all something you'll practice at home because I want to get to the bands. Resisted release, baby. All right. So the idea there too, like, is, so if you really book, resisted release settles that down. If you anchor right in place, my resisted release moving away gets to still let us have stretch and everything else, but without negatively affecting you.
Has more of the practical options
Right.
versus just the two.
Right,
walking away
exactly.
from
Which is kind of the finding resisted releases, we both walk away.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the dream scenario where we're both sharing the centered counterpoint. That's the dream scenario, right? But we have to be able to adjust,
do the
right?
real work, yes.
Who do you need? Who? They're not in here. Right. This isn't the. If they're teaching, they're not teaching in here. No worries. So are you feeling this? Yes or no? All right. By the way, so that's 6. 7. That was 6. She moves for 3. I move for 3. Right? 7 is we both start here. And actually, I want you to engage your bicep. Engage the arm. There's a pull in towards. I'm engaging my bicep. We're going to find each other first. Then I'm going to alter the resistance in the hand to get us both to move. So we both release. Does that make sense? We both move. We both release. So I find her first. I commence to move. I have to alter that to let her know we're both going to move. Yeah? Try that one. Pick who the leader is, if it's girl, girl, or boy, boy. And then switch the leader, by the way. Yes, ma'am.
That's really hard.
Yes, it is.
How do I get her to move?
All right.
And to just release.
Right. So, check it out. Everybody say centered, countered, point. Say it again. What do we call it, Ben and Cameo? CCP, right? So, CCP. I sound like PJ when I say that. PJ will be working. He'll be like, oh, CCP, right? Centered, countered, point. There's a point at which we are both countering off of, right? A centered counterpoint. Connor's like, I know this. All right, so as we're here, right? So we're both having this centered countered point. Now I'm going to act upon this centered countered point, right? So we both have to be receptive to this. So the second she feels me start to lessen my tension and move away from that centered countered point, I'm easing myself as if this was a ballet bar that I'm holding on to. right? And I ease myself away from the ballet bar. But I'm still I'm not just falling away from it. Does that make sense? Nor am I backing up and trying to move it. So as I find here, right, there's the center countered point. I try to affect the amount of tension on the centered countered point to tell me to move, which means it will be a lessening of tension. So I'm probably going to start at an 8, and I'm probably going to move to a 7 or 6 or whatever to let her, and then we're back to an 8 again when we get to the point of no more. Does that make sense? Cool. One of the things that will help this is finding each other with a little increase of the bicep. See, I'm doing that. Can you all see this? Can you all see this? Say yes. Right? Watch the difference. This still has space here. This is different. Right? I don't want to pull in. Give a little bit of room. Give a little bit of space. So that way when you ease off, your partner also gets to feel your rib and your spine. Right? And then when we're here and we tend to ease off, all they feel is the bicep. They don't feel the entirety of your body. Get your elbow off your body. Try it. Do you feel that? Yes or no? Yeah. Cool. Whoever was rotating, rotate. Now, because you're going to practice this at home, you're not perfecting this today, just so you know, resisted release, it's really, so if I dance with the follow who really, really, really books her slot, who like really runs her slot. So if she really runs her slot, resisted release eases that. I slow her down over a period of time. If it were to make a noise, it'd go, ooh, right? So I kind of go. So if a lady runs her slot and pulls me, people say, what do I do if a lady runs her slot and pulls me? That happens to me one time. That will only happen once, right? I lead a side pass and she books. Got it. I got you. I know who you is. Right, so from now on, I save some arm, and resisted release eases that pattern. For the record, she won't even know that she's not traveling the same. It will feel the same to her. It just doesn't negatively affect me. Right? Let's say I dance with that follow who stays dead in place. She anchors right in place. So I go from here, and she anchors in place. Now there's no connection. How many times does that get to happen to me? Once. Because then I use resisted release, right? She stays in place, and I use resisted release away. Right? And because I've taught myself to increase tension in the arm and resisted release without moving this point towards me, I don't pull her. Does that make sense? So that learning all those 7 steps of resisted release teach you how to handle multiple scenarios with a partner, leader or follower. Like ladies say to me all the time, what do I do if a guy yanks too much? Save some of your arm, and when he yanks, give up that resisted release and then move when you're ready. Does that make sense? What do I do if I get a guy that's backing up too much, right? Use resisted release, and you can ease his backing up too much as well, just like I can ease yours. You with me on that? Kind of, sort of? So we're sending, we're receiving, we're listening, right, through all that. Yeah. Yeah, you should speak it in the exercise. You say, you move, you release. Great. All right, now you move and I'll release, whatever. You speak it, right? No, don't try to figure it out. No, like not in the exercise. When you're doing the drill, do the drill. Just do the drill to train your body. Does that make sense? It's and then your body will know when to draw upon it. Like when I played football in high school, we had to do this. Anybody ever play football? Or soccer or anything like that, and you would have to do this, right? Now, I didn't say to my coach, I was already a dancer. I didn't say to my coach, why aren't we grapevining? Like, I didn't say that. Because if I would have said, how does that apply to me being a middle linebacker? He would have thrown something at me. Shut up. He called me Roy. Shut up, Roy. Just do it, right? So I was saying earlier, because he called me Roy, I was like, Roy, my football coach called me Roy for all 4 years of high school. And by year 4, my senior year, I walked up to him because I was terrified of him. I walked up to him, I was like, Coach D, do you know my name's Robert? He's like, yes, but I shorten your last name. And I'd never heard of anybody shortening a last name. I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, did you think all these years I didn't know your name? And I was like, Yeah. Why didn't you say something earlier? Because you're terrifying. So, so that's true. So, anyways, so I'm a middle linebacker, and I'm guarding the quarterback. My goal as a middle linebacker was to mirror the quarterback. So I'm mirroring the quarterback, right? And all of a sudden he moves and he shifts, and I do that to move to the side. I didn't worry about where the application was. You do this to get it into your body. You don't worry about where the application is. So we're speaking the exercise to train our bodies what it feels like. Then we're going to trust our bodies to know how to apply it. You with me on that? So we want to make sure that's why drill training is more important than content training. Like training patterns isn't nearly as important as training drills. Actually, I would rather you train how to take a step, how to take one step, how to understand what a triple step is, more than I want you to drill pattern direction and walk, walk, triple, triple. Does that make sense? Because if you drill the minutia of what it means to take a step and what it means to take a triple step, just in place and then in any direction, then the pattern content is easy to just structure and direct. Does that make sense? So the more you can break down what you're doing to drills, the more it drops into your body, and your body will call upon it when it's needed. Yeah? By the way, that's anything, isn't it? How many of you have ever done any sort of high-level sport in middle school or high school or after that, right? It's the minutia of drill training. When I played football, we didn't play a game on Monday. We didn't play a game on Tuesday. We didn't play a game on Wednesday. We never played a game. Thursday, we might do a scrimmage. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we ran drills. Drill after drill after drill after drill. Some of those drills simulated things that might happen in a game, but we didn't play a game. We played the game on Friday. Hopefully you did all of your work for your drill system to get to the game. Social dancing is the game. Jack and Jill strictly swings. Even pattern content to some level is more the game. You need to break down the drills. Yes? By the way, one of the things you can do at home, so if you have a band, right? So everybody should have a band, right? Oh, if you don't have a band, they're here. I have more. I have lots more. By the way, you all get to keep these. I told you that, right? My gift to you. Cameo just looked at me. I don't have a band. Right. So Brock just said he played football in college, and the first 10 minutes of every practice was one step. Right? Right. I remember doing this and then saying back, side, other side, forward, back. And you would literally just do that. Right? Not because I would go, but how would that happen in a game? Right? People always ask, well, how would that apply to West Coast swing? Shush and do the pattern, right? So we're going to use my band first. There you go. Whatever. So one of the things you can do at home, let's imagine she's a door. Right? So let's imagine she's a door. I would do a couple things with resisted release. I would say, okay, I'm going to have nothing here, and this arm's going to be there, and I'm going to back up till I feel like the band has a point of no more. So if I start to go any more, I feel like I might overstretch the band. Does that make sense? Or I feel like I have to start to over-engage my arm. What's the point at which the band gives me all the tension it can give me without me having to increase the tension in my arm? You with me on this? So my arm's here. I back up, I back up, I back up, I back up. It's about there. If I go any more, she probably has to increase the tension in her arm too. But let's say this is at home at a door. But if I go any more, I'm going to have to start to increase the tension in my arm. You with me on that? So I just get to that point. Okay, great. Now, let me see. Can I move myself away without affecting the band? Can I move myself towards? Right? And then what does it mean to come towards? And if I stop right before it gets to 0? Hey, that's good. Right? So you start at 0. Okay. I'm going to move away. I'm going to move away. I'm going to move away. Move away. Any more, and I have to engage my bicep more. There's still more in the band, but it gets to be too much. Right? So now I'm going to move myself away from that without altering the band. You with me on that? So this is one of the ways you can practice resisted release at home without a partner. Yes? So do me a favor. Pick who the door is and try it once with your partner. Yeah, pretty duo. You want to try it? For the record, I can feel that. Right. And I can move it. So awesome. Good. Do it again. Is that right? That's good. You guys do that? That's awesome. You have to tell me when you do things like this. You have to tell me when you take one of my drills and embellish upon it and come up with cool stuff like changing the rhythms. We're sharing here. All right. Are you going back and forth? Yes? So you know what I just tried? So I was here, I'm the door. But what I just tried with Cameo is I closed my eyes, I'm the door, and she did it. Right? She's done. Got it. I can feel that. I can even redirect. Does that make sense? I can feel it all the way through that band. Spider web. Yes, you just said spiders got to eat. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's try it again. One more time. I know. I love that. Love. $24 on eBay. I mean on Amazon. I got two 75-yard rolls of this, and I just cut it up last night. Right? For $25. For an intensive like this, I'm happy to give them to them and cut it up. $25 is nothing. For 2 rolls, for 150 yards of this. And it's a little more expensive if you want to get the heavier ones, but I was like, that's it. So then I reached out to the manufacturer. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm going to see what it would cost me to get row, all rolling. Right, right, yeah. All right, great, cool. Go ahead and stop. 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 Okay, because I want to go on. I want to give you more stuff. So that's one of the things you can do at home right away, practicing with the band. Right? Does that make sense? By the way, when you're here with the band, feel what I always have what I call the point of bounce, which is the point at which the bounce commences to stretch. I mean, the band commences to stretch. Right? So when it, boom, right there, right there. That's about the lightest I ever get in a connection. But that's not zero. That's zero. Does that make sense? So that's about the lightest. Right? And then that's about the heaviest. Could I go more? Yeah, but it starts to become more negative, right? So good, got it. And then from here, the other thing you can start to do is go, what does it mean to send energy under the connection, at the level of the connection, and over the connection? Under, at, over, say it. Great. So for me, this is me sending energy. So this is the level of the connection. You with me on this? This is the level. I send under. What does that feel like to send under it? Great. That feels certain. What does it feel like if I pull away at the level of the connection? That feels different. What does it feel like to go over the level of connection? Does that make sense? Because we tend to do that, right? We tend to, from here, we tend to move from the level of the connection. But we really want to move under it. I want to move from under the level of the connection. I don't want to move over it, right? And I don't like to move at it. And by the way, even if, bless you, even if Camille leads me 40 and I decided, yeah, so this is under, this is at, this is over. You with me on this? So even if I'm Tori Smith, walk backwards, and I do this, that whole thing, right? That like Tori does or Jessica does. Well, kind of all the top ladies do it at some level at some point in time. It's not that they're leaning back. It's actually that they're swinging their hips under. Even that is happening under the level of the lead. Does that make sense? When you watch Benji go into here and move backwards, that's all swinging under the level of the lead, not back over the level of the lead. You with me on that? It's an illusion. What you see isn't really what's happening. Cool? So when you do this band right here, and actually what you could probably do, both of you grab onto a band, walk away from it for a second, right? Relax arms. There we go. So we're there. We're at that point of bounce. And feel like what it feels like to pull underneath it. Go underneath it. Underneath it. Go at it. Feel what it feels like to pull at it. That feels different. Go over it. And that feels even more different, right? Try it. Try it with your partner. Now do me a favor. Walk forward, grab your partner's hands, both hands, and both of you pull away under, at, and over. Feel what it feels like to pull from under. Feel what it feels like to pull from at. And then think over, right? Not fun, right? Cool. All right, so at home, one of the things you can do is practice resisted release with the band. Does that make sense? Say yes. Cool. The other thing you can do is pulling under, at, and over with the band. Say yes. Understanding what it means to walk forward and walk away without the band ever going to neutral. So you always keep some amount of time. What would be too much to the band? What's nothing at all to the band? I don't want to be too much to the band, and I don't want to be nothing at all to the band. Say yes. Great. Do me a favor. Everybody tie it into a loop. Right, into a circle. Yes? Under. Under, under, under. Under, under, under. It's the biggest mistake that follows make in things like this. So if I'm here, right, so she puts her hand here. Have you guys seen like the cutoff where the leaders lead the follows in? Sorry, I'm just going to lead myself. You stay there. Lead the follows in, and then they put the hand like this, and then they redirect this way. Have you all seen that? Right, and that happens, and they come in this way, and then the follows like lean and do all that kind of, have you seen that? Right, so what the pros do is they come in, and they set under, then they go at, then they go over. And the over only happens once the redirection has commenced. So this is here. The over only happens once the redirection has commenced. But what you all do, right, socially, because you see that, you come in here and you go over. Happens all the time. When I social dance, it happens all the time. I go, ugh, because I get you're doing what you see the pros do, right? But this is me. Give me a connection here. This is me under the lead. Under the lead is something you get to manage. At the lead feels a little heavy. Over the lead feels horrible, right? So we're always kind of shooting for under the lead, right? Okay, so we all looped? Yes? Check this out. From here, having two hands, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead Cameo by me in a slingshot. Watch. And what never happened was the bands never got to zero. Does that make sense? So as I do any of this kind of stuff, the bands don't get to zero. You with me on that? That's my connection. That doesn't mean that they didn't increase and decrease, right? But they didn't get to zero. I didn't. If I was doing this, watch. Does that make sense? We were gonna totally, right? So, but what doesn't happen is this. See all that looseness that's occurring, right? Now I have to really find ways to fill space to make all of that happen, and which means I have to fill it out. Everything's out. All the energy is out. So I know where her feet are the whole time. What'd you say? It's fun. It is fun, right? Cool. But we're keeping connection the whole time. It's varying, but it's never going to zero. Right. So, you guys all heard the question? Is it the leader's responsibility or the follower's responsibility? I'm totally playing with you. Right? Is it the leader's responsibility or the follower's responsibility? Both. So you have to work together for it. Now, here's the thing. Relax for a second. So if I'm here like this, and I'm one of those leaders that does this, can Cameo search for outward energy? Can she extend her arms out and put, yes, she absolutely can. If I'm that leader that does this, right, can she push out? Can she, yep, she absolutely can. Does that make sense? She can, what if I do this from here, can she push out? Yep, she can create that same outward tonal energy. Outward tonal energy. She can create that just as much as I can. You're not going to get it right away. It gets to happen to you how many times? Once. One time you realize that that leader isn't having this energy, that he's letting slack occur, and then you search. Now, the thing is, most of us reel in to eat up slack. I want you to push out to eat up slack. Because if you reel in, he'll reel in, and you're engaging biceps. If I go out, I don't engage the bicep. Does that make sense? So if the guy's like giving me slack or the follows give me slack, I go out. So if I do a sugar push and she's not connected on the in stroke, from here, you know what I do? I open it out. Because then she has to, I have to push back. She has to resist that, right? But what I don't do is reel in, because then she'll reel into her bicep, and I don't want to engage a bicep. So I go outwards to create that. Yeah. So for this exercise, all I want to do, pick who the leader and who the follower is. We're not doing West Coast Swing, but we're going to kind of do Ring Around the Rosie on some level, right? So I'm just going to ask, whoever the leader is going to ask the follower to pass on their left side. On the left side. So I'm just going to see, could I open up and get you to pass on the left side and then settle it and soften it? Can I get her to pass and then settle it and soften it? See what I'm doing? I'm asking her to pass, settling and softening. Now, if I pull to make this happen, slack is going to occur, right? I go out and I bring myself that way. I go out and I have to make sure that I'm countering the energy. I go out and I counter the energy, which is, by the way, the same thing I do here. I'm in a constant sense of counter. I counter cameo in that. There's never slack in my lead. Does that make sense? Same thing you're doing this. Pick who the leader is, who the follower is, and then switch it up. This could be a really fun Jack and Jill. It's fun, right? I've done it where I go like... Nice. So fun, right? I love it. But then it's exactly how the lead is. Right. All right, check it out. Watch. Here's an issue. Right? By the way, this is so fun. Cami and I are already going to make this become a Jack and Jill contest. Right? Because it's so fun, right? So the idea, here's one of the issues. My arms go out, right, and move, right? If at all my elbows pull in, if I pull my elbows in at all, chances are she'll pull her elbows in. And actually, when I start, so walk past me, when I start to go past, if I start to extend out, I'm going to have slack. Does that make sense? So I'm always going out, look, out, out. I'm shaping around. So you'll see me shape around in systems of arc. You won't see me pull in towards me. Because chances are there's going to be some slack somewhere that will occur off that rebound, right? So I make sure that my arms go out. But if you look at my elbows, when I'm doing this, my elbows don't pull past me. I'll go down, I'll go out, I'll go up, I won't come towards. Yeah. It can increase a little bit. Like, so from here, as we go like this, it's a little decreased, and now it's increasing. Does that make sense? So it's relative. It's probably like a 5 to a 7. I'm not really going to like all the way down to a 2. Does that make sense? So from here, as we're passing, there's a lot. There's a little less, and then there's more. There's a lot, there's a little less, and then there's more. It's just never 0. Yeah. Cool. By the way, if this feels like it's too hard to control, let go. You make a figure 8, and you do the same thing with a shorter loop. Does that make sense? So you work it to here. When I teach this in private lessons, I start with the long loop, then I go to the shorter loop, have the guy put their hands in the wrist, and then we're back to here. And you step it down. Does that make sense? To be able to then do all of this, outward tonal energy, the whole time. Everything I did, all of this is the same stuff I did a second ago, right? Everything I did with the band. Yes? Cool. So I will tell you the figure 8 shorter loop is easier to control. I kind of like us going, because it makes you go to a more extreme. Does that make sense? So, but you can play with that one more time. Whoever's rotating, give the person the band back and then rotate. Everybody only gets one band. Pick the lead and then switch it up. It would be fun. the fun part too is like if I do something like this, let's say I do this, and I let go of that side, right? As I pick that side back up, right, I have to pick it up and start the stretch prior to the need for the stretch. Does that make sense? So if that side's gone, I don't pick it up. I can't pick it up and just pull, right? I have to slowly increase to engage that side with the arc. Exactly. Now, the great thing about this exercise, go ahead and stop. That was awesome. That was awesome. You like head looped and everything. That was great. Relax for a second. The great thing about this exercise is the follow can mess this up just as easy as the leader can. Does that make sense? This exercise forces both of you to be seeking the maintenance of the band, doesn't it? Right? Because follows, you can totally mess this up. Yeah? Just as important for both of us to do this. Like, so, you know, now this isn't something you can do at home, obviously, right? But this is a really, really, really good practice tool, right? To understand this, and then the loop to make it smaller. Yeah? And then go to the hand from there. So now do me a favor. So now, just put them on your wrist and grab hands and do that same pass by you were just doing with the leader and the follower, and feel what it feels like to search that space out without the band. Just try it. And switch leads. Now do me a favor. Have them pass and use your elbows. Do it wrong. Go to neutral. That kind of sucks, huh? All right. Cool. Go ahead and stop. How you doing? Good. Could you guys feel when it went well and when it didn't? Right. So yes. Right. Okay. Right. To shorten everything, right. Yes. So that's a statement, not a question, right? But it's 100% true. You know, so I have a student named Amy Danzinger. She's taken a lot of lessons from me. She's 6'3", right? Very, very tall. And the first thing I said to her was, you must dance your height. You must dance your height, and you must dance your length. Dance your length. I as a leader can see how long your arms are and how tall you are. If you start to manipulate your height and your length and then come out of it and go into it, I can't make the right call. What's that? Right. I need you to dance your length. If you dance your length, I can make all the right calls as a leader. And you're not going to feel like you're doing something your body really doesn't want to do. So you're right. You know, what we learn to expand relative to the space provided. So from here, I can expand this much. I can feel that, right? If we figure eight these, right? So I shorten that. I can only expand now relative to the space that provides. Does that make sense? So if I'm dancing with Cameo, I can expand to a much greater space than if I'm dancing with Sarah Van Drake. Does that make sense? Charlotte Bott over Marianne Nunez, whatever, right? So when I'm dancing with Blake Hobby, it's significantly different than when I'm dancing with Lorene Baldovi because of the length. Does that make sense? But I will still seek out expansion to the level of that system that's been created. We will have a stretched system between the two of us, and there will be limitations to that stretched system. Does that make sense? So I will expand, and you should expand to the level that system can handle. Does that make sense? Cool. Did you all get that? Tall ladies in here and short people in here. We expand to the level the system can handle. Yeah? Cool. And so that's why I like altering the levels, getting really, really long and shortening it up and then getting rid of them, right? So that all we're learning to do is to seek out. Yeah. What's interesting What's interesting, cliffhanger. Next season on the intensive. Next season on the intensive. That's going to be my new sitcom or my new reality TV show. The intensive. You're fired. You get no WSDC points. Right. The yo-yo. Right. So it's interesting. I only have one with me. I thought, because I just switched suitcases, I thought I had all three with me. Right. So, but the yo-yo is the perfect example of lead follow. Because with the yo-yo, I send the yo-yo. Now you would say I'm leading the yo-yo, wouldn't you? I'm leading the yo-yo, yes? But I can pull up whenever I want, right? Think about that. Could I pull up whenever I want? No. Because if I just pull up right away, or if I pull up too late, it'll affect the string, won't it? Right? So I send, and then I must what? Listen. I have to receive. Receive what information? The information from the yo-yo. That it's, yeah, I have to receive. So I feel a pull, don't I? I feel a pull as the yo-yo travels. I feel the rate and the weight of the yo-yo. And I know when to pull the yo-yo back. Does that make sense? So there's a send, and then there's a listen. So when I'm dancing with Cameo, and I did this, I send, then I listen. Does that make sense? When I get to the bottom of the yo-yo, I don't push it down more. Does that make sense? I wait. It's a lot like snapping a towel. Once I send the towel, I'm already thinking about the back towards me stroke, and I'm listening to the towel. Now, what I have is I have three yo-yos. The first time I ever did this, it was with Kevin Kane. And what I did is I said, who's really good at yo-yos? So, of course, Kevin, because he's good at everything, was like, I am. So I gave him a yo-yo, and he went like this, and then he went, and he did a loop. I was like, give me that. So then I gave him another yo-yo, and he went. I said, give me that. And I gave him a third yo-yo. And he went. So what did he do first with every yo-yo? Felt it. Now, I said to him, what's different about the three yo-yos? He said, color. One was green, one was blue, one was red. I said, anything else? He said, yeah, the red one's a butterfly. Shape different. I said, anything else? He said, I think the red one has a shorter string than the other two. I said, let's pull. So we pulled them all out. All three had an 1.5 inch different length string. And all three weighed different. I weighed the blue one. I taped weights into the blue one, right? So, and this one's the lightest one. All three different weights, all three different string lengths. He didn't care. He didn't care. He just tested what it felt like. He had all the information he needed, and then he could do what he needed to do. Does that make sense? That is lead follow. I don't care the length of the string. What I care is the communication of the journey. I care about the communication to the end of the stretch. When that's there, and if at any point in time on the way down, the slack were to happen in this string, it wouldn't, but let's imagine, I would lose information, wouldn't I? I wouldn't know when to pull the yo-yo back, would I? If at any point on the way down, the yo-yo decided to change its weight, to alter its weight, it would mess up when my redirection was. Does that make sense? But it's true to its journey. So because it's true to its journey, I get all the information I need. Now, do I in that moment go, well, what's my postural alignment and how much bicep do I use? And do I use my lats and engage them in that single weird core muscle? Does that? No. I just send and receive. Does that make sense? And you know what? My 8-year-old can do that. You know what? I should get everybody yo-yos. That's what should happen. Because the yo-yos are perfect lead follow. And by the way, it's not that always that the follow is the yo-yo. Sometimes it's the leader too. Because there's lots of patterns where I'm the one moving away and I'm the one eating up the string. I did this here at this hotel with a guy named Glenn Hinkle. I also did it with a guy named PJ Turner, where I had them, we went into the weight room and I gave them, I said, close your eyes and I'm going to give you a dumbbell. So I'm going to put it into your hand. Open your hand. I put a dumbbell in the hand. And I put on The Way You Make Me Feel by Michael Jackson. And it goes boom, ga-da-ga-da, boom, ga-da-ga-da, boom, ga-da-ga-da. That's the rhythm. And I said, I want you to go boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom, ba-da-ga. So you have to hit that beat. Boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom. Right? So they did. Boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom, ba-da-ga-da, boom. I said, great. Keep your eyes closed. Open your hand. Open the other hand. Put the dumbbell in the other hand. boom, ba-da-ka-da, boom, but great. I said, great. Take the dumbbell away, open your eyes. I said, which dumbbell weighed more? Because I put a 12-pound in one hand and a 15-pound in the other. And I've done this now 5 times with different people, and not one has ever guessed which dumbbell was heavier. Most of them think I'm tricking them, and they think it's the same dumbbell. Because in the moment that it's happening, you're not going, oh, this is more weight, so I'm going to give it, because it's marginally, right? But they're not like, oh, this is more, this is less, whatever. They just, they give their body the task. The task is to lift it to this beat. Your body does everything it knows how to do. Does that make sense? If I said, this one weighs more, they might like think about that and try to actually override what their body already knows to do. If I said to Kevin, this yo-yo has a different length string, he might go, oh, okay. He might be almost too much. He might have to throw that 2 or 3 times to get out of the way of himself. Does that make sense? Instead of just feeling and then letting your body do what it knows how to do. Yes, yes? Did you all get that? So when we talk about different arm lengths and everything else, it's just this. I promise you this is perfect lead follow because it's sending and receiving. I don't control the whole situation. I set up a situation. I also have to listen to. Yeah? Who thought a yo-yo would be so deep in thought, right? You're all so deep in thought with the yo-yo, but it's true. What's that? Whammo, right, exactly. We're going to call this class the Duncan. You guys remember Duncan yo-yos? Anybody? Nobody? All right, cool. So now, next, because we have a few minutes left. What did I do with that? Did I take our bands? I did. All right, so whoever's rotating, rotate again. PJ Turner sent me a text at one point in time. He's like, I'm just letting you know I bought a couple yo-yos. Like all right, so now we're going to do a little something called stop-go. We're going to do a stop-go exercise. So the idea behind stop-go is that somebody's always stop and somebody's always go, right? So we're going to pick both hands like this, and we're going to pick who's going to lead first. So I'm going to lead first, right? So if I'm walking, I'm going to walk to a point of tension. Okay, so it's not just at the point of tension, and it's not too much tension. It's just kind of in the middle somewhere, just where it's kind of a comfortable place of bounce. You'll find that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find Cameo's feet. Just going to find her feet. Now I'm going to back up. As I back up, I'm going to be go. As I'm go, Cameo is stop. Tension might increase a little bit, and that's fine, right? She's stop. Now, if I redirect her, she better go, because now she's go and I'm stop. Just like the hand in tension, I should be able to walk backwards, lead that, but we're not ever going to 0, are we? Speed her up, slow her down, but I have to communicate to this just like I had to communicate to the hand in sticky hands. Does that make sense? So, in stretch, the person going away is always go. The person coming towards is always stop. So right now she's stop and I'm go. The water skier is stop. The boat is go. The person who is stop is just losing the battle. In other words, back up. If I'm stop, I'm not like, no, right? I'm stop only to the point of what? No more. And then what happens? I move. Now, so if she's leading, come back towards me. We both have to maintenance the band. So it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility as I move towards Cameo for her to maintenance the stretch as well. If she were to move towards me, it's my responsibility to maintenance this as well. Because what I don't want is don't move. As I move towards her and this happens, that means she's not maintaining it either. Also, by the way, if I just move, that's not enough time. I have to commence to move and enough time to go, is she moving? Okay, she's moving, great. You with me on that? Which, by the way, means that I talk to my standing leg a little bit more. I talk about my standing leg and I go, okay, now she's moving. Now, great. And then I can speed up. It's the exact same thing with the intention of the hand. You with me on that? Stop, go. So go back and forth with one person being the leader, and then just stay in that and go back and forth with the other person being the leader. Have you done this one? Right. In the routine, right. All right, hold on. Stop. Go back. Because you guys are misunderstanding this. Look. I'm going to say I'm the leader, which means I'm backing up, and I'm not going to keep backing up until she turns over being the leader. No, I'm the leader until we speak otherwise. The leader should be able to be go, and the leader should be able to tell the follower he wants to be stop. I led that too. Camuel's not leading any of this. I'm going to lead the back and the forth. This is all me. This is all me. This is still me. This is still me. Still me, still me, still me, still me. And then we can stop. We can go, okay, now you be the leader. And then we change it and she leads it. Does that make sense? So it's not like one leads one direction, the other leads the other direction. Pick who the leader is in multiple, and that leader goes back and forth. Then change leader, and that leader goes back and forth. Yes. The stop-go dynamic doesn't change. Who's making the decision, that will change. Yes. Go for it. Because I'm leading, so I'm making the decisions. No, because if whoever's going away is always go. That doesn't mean you're the leader. It just means you're go. So the dynamic of the person going away always being go, that stays the same. Who's saying when we're going, right? Who's saying what role you play changes. So if I'm the leader, I get to tell you you're playing the role of go or you're playing the role of stop. I don't know that it's the most difficult dance to do. I think they're all really hard to do. I think international waltz is really freaking hard to do. Right, so I think doing a back hover in closed position is really, really hard to do. But so I don't know. I don't know what the most difficult dance is. But it is one of the things that makes this hard. Now, listen. Shh. Whoever's rotating, rotate. As we do stop go, because we're going to have to be done here in a minute. As we do stop go, right, couple of things. When I do stop go, I want to find her first, right? So whoever the leader is, I want to make sure we're on the same foot. I want our weight transfer to happen at the same time too. I want to communicate weight transfer too. I want to be able to know, look at that. I get to control that foot. All of that through the connection, right? I want to know what's going on as that happens. Nothing's going on in my arms. It's just registering through my body, through the connection. And through all of my pre-leads. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Cool. Not doing this. Not doing this. Yeah? Try it. Make sure you're on the same foot. Control weight transfer. Okay. Random thoughts. It helps if your elbows aren't completely locked into the side of your body too, by the way. Find that outward energy. All right, so leaders, check this out. Relax, rotate. Leaders, that's for everybody. That's not just because some of you all should be leading and you all should be following. When you are leading, let me put it that way. When I'm leading, so put your weight in your left foot. So her weight's on her left and my weight's on my right. I'm not going to be like, come, wait, I want you to go over there. That's not what's going to happen. If I want to find a partner's foot, right, I don't try to bring them to the foot I'm on. I go to the foot they're on, then I move. So I just saw a whole bunch of you trying to move your partner onto your foot. If my partner's not on my foot, the foot that I would like them to be on, I go to the foot they're on. Then I move us both from there. Does that make sense? It's just like when we're in closed position. If she is on her right foot and I'm on my right foot, I don't go, right? No, I step to this foot and I ask us both to move to the next foot. I go to the foot they're on. I find my partner. I don't place my partner to me. I don't move my partner to me. I find my partner. Now, that's a leader-centric thing, right? Why it's important for followers to understand that as well is because as you start to embellish and do syncopations and stuff like that, you need to be able to bring you need to be able to find your partner's foot and then bring your partner to it as well. So there's times where we're doing something where a Cameo or a Tatiana or whatever will find where I'm at and then bring me with them. It reverses on those levels. Does that make sense? So when you're doing this, if we're walking, I'm going to go left, you go right, but then you take an immediate left. So if I go da, take a da. So now she's on that foot. I won't go wait. I won't try to. I'll find her. I'll go. Okay, wait. Let me find her. Great. Now let me move again, and let me see. Is there something I was doing that wasn't telling that other foot to go? Yes, yes. And if you're going side to side, and she goes this way, you don't go. Let's stop all of that, right? I go back over, then I move. Cool? Try it again. Oh, I didn't. Sorry. All right, good. Go ahead and stop. Do me a favor. Loop your thing and just put it on your wrist for a second. Just get rid of it. You can put it in your pocket, whatever. Just get rid of it. So just so we understand stop go, there is stop go and compression as well. So the rule is in stretch, the person going away is always go. The person going towards is always stop. So in stretch, go ahead. She's go and I'm stop. Does that make sense? In compression, the person going away is stop, and the person going towards is go. Does that make sense? So if Cameo comes towards me, I'm stop, and she's go. Does that make sense? If we were in stretch, she would be stop, and I would be go. Nod your heads if you get that. Great. You can also say that this gets a little confusing, but another way that people say it is that one person in connection has the same intention as their direction. One person has the same intention in the same direction. One person has a different intention than their direction. So from here, if I'm walking forward, my intention for compression, my intention and my direction are the same. They're both that way. Her direction will be that way, but her intention is this way. Does that make sense? So one person always has opposing intention to direction. One person always has same direction, same intention. One person always has opposing direction. When I'm walking backwards, if I'm go and we're in stretch, my intention and my lead and my direction are the same. Her intention will be that way, but her direction's this way. And that's how we maintenance the counter of connection. Does that make sense? Cool. So we can do it in compression. And I can do the same exact thing where we're maintaining it. Maintaining it. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. I mean, I everything I do, like if I was going to push on somebody or push on a wall, I would use my hips, wouldn't I? This would get underneath me to push. I wouldn't push from up here. So the illusion is that I'm pushing from up there. But if I was going to want to move a wall, I would get my hips underneath me and push from the ground to the floor because that's where I get the most amount of support. Does that make sense? Great. Cool. So try compression real fast. Just pick who the leader is. What's interesting about that is because then all we have to do is, if I do an inside turn, you stay with me. If I do an inside turn and ask for this, right? So if you're me and Brandy, I do that inside turn and we go to compression and we live in compression. If you're Benji and Melissa Roots, they live in stretch. You just have to know that whether you're go or whether you're stop. Are you feeling it? Yes or no? By the way, watch. Left side pass with an inside turn. Everybody say, stop, stop, go, 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 go. Say that. Her footwork is stop, stop, because in 1-2, she's stop, stop, because she's in stretch. In the turn, she's go, 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 go for the triples, and I'm stop, because she's moving away. So she's stop, stop, go, 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 go. I'm stop while she's go. So I'm go, go, stop, 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 stop. Does that make sense? So, and all the lady has to know is the leader asking for compression or stretch? What if he's asking for compression, then I'm going to maintenance that being stop. If he's asking for stretch, I'm going to be go. So if you're Robert and Brandy, because Brandy and I like to do compression stuff, and I do an inside turn, and I come into Brandy with compression, we're moving, and she stays true. She doesn't run from that. She stays true to being stop. If I'm Benji and Melissa Roots, who like to do it more from stretch, right? He comes back like this, and he's stop, and she's go. Same exact move. Same move. We just apply the rules to stop, go. Does that make sense? So the idea there is a left side pass. She's go, 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 go. Why isn't she continuing to go? Because I've applied the brake. And what does she hit the end of? No more. She got to the end of no more. But her motor's still running. She still has what? Directional intent. She still go. She just can't go because the brake's been applied. Nod your heads if you get that. It all ties right back into kind of the first stuff we talked about today. You with me on this? So, constant connection with varied amounts of tension, understanding our points of no more and resisted release to those points, understanding the rules of stop, go, right? Looking for outward tonal energy. You with me on this? Cool. We didn't touch much on center countered point. That's a whole hour by itself. But the idea of center countered point is I can pull myself towards that center point and ease myself away. And pull myself towards and ease myself away. And my partner should be able to feel that. I'm not pulling or pushing that point to and from her. Does that make sense? Yes. The only reason why is it the same as posting? I mean, I guess it could be. The thing that scares me about posting is it implies I don't want anything to be happening here. Does that make sense? And lots is happening here. There's lots going on in the hand. Does that make sense? Just because the hand isn't moving doesn't mean there's not lots of increase and decrease of tension. Posting tends to imply that I'm moving and nothing alters here. Does that make sense? So if you could couple with posting that there's still an increase and decrease of energy to the post, sure. The word post tends to imply stop. Does that make sense? Yeah. It is kind of what I'm talking about. I just don't like that word because of what it implies. Did y'all get that? Kind of, sort of? By the way, grab a hand. Grab a hand. Pick who the leader is. Just say, I'm the leader, or you're the leader, right? Cool. Now, from here, start your motor running, right? The leader, pull yourself to the hand, and that should pull the follow into the hand as well, right? Ease yourself away, and that should ease them away. Don't move the hand. The hand can move. Don't move it where it is relative in space. They can go side to side, whatever, but it doesn't come towards you, and it doesn't go towards them. Great. Now switch leaders. Let the other person lead. You're already moving. Just stay moving. Just stay moving. You're already moving. No need to stop. By the way, you have to stay pretty external to make this happen. You have to be paying attention to what your partner's doing and what you're feeling in the hand. All right, great. Go ahead and stop. So that's center counterpoint. Give yourselves a round of applause. Nice job. So one of the things I want you guys to also understand is at no point, and you guys, if you buy this video, you'll see it. At no point did any of you break frame. At no point were any of you were your shoulders up. Because your process wasn't actually thinking about your arm. Your arm has its journey, right? But it was really thinking about how you move weight away from something, and how you collect weight into something. That's your focus changed a little bit. And because your focus wasn't actually physically just on the flexing of an arm or the holding an arm in a position, all these other negative things that start to happen in our frame weren't happening. Lots of you in here who are novice dancers were having really good arm lengths, very relaxed body. There was no negative energy in the arm. Does that make sense? So that is where we're going for with connection. These are the connection drills you want to be practicing a lot of. Resisted release, I promise you, understanding spiders got to eat, and resisted release it will change your world. Yes? Please, some of you in here who have experienced it, acknowledge that that's the truth. Yes? Cool. Raise your hand if you've spent lots of time with me on this, right? It is different. Yeah. It makes a difference. Cool. All right. Thank you, Cameo, so much for staying out here the whole time. All right. So you all get to keep your bands. We're done. This has all been taped. The history of swing is going to be put on the end of this one, right? Or the end of both of them, or whatever it is. There's 3 parts. So, but the history is being put somewhere, right? All right, great. Got it. So, all right, everybody pretend like you're going to shoot your band. You'll do it with me. Are we ready? No. Changing lens. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh, perfect. That's awesome. Thank you all so much.